Hello there guys and welcome to Sunday's live stream. I'm DWF1 and we are here for the 200 lap race here at Chicagoland Speedway in Joviet, Illinois, and we're getting set as mentioned for 200 laps. If you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, it was very interesting, very close indeed, but in the end it was a front row lockout for Eldorado Indy as they managed to grab their first ever pole position in IFMC IndyCar, with Will Power taking the honours ahead of Scott Dixon and Fernando Alonso rounding off the top three. It was a very good qualifying session for the Romanian team, and they'll be looking to try and convert this front row start into their first ever IFMC IndyCar win. So as you can see, 22 cars on the grid. It should make for a very exciting race here at Chicagoland Speedway, the penultimate oval race of the season. So before we start then guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for today's race here at Chicagoland Speedway. Here we go then. So on pole position it is Will Power with teammate Scott Dixon second. Fernando Alonso is in third with Joseph Newgarden in fourth. The two EMRs lock out row 3 with Helio Castroneves fifth and Sebastian Bourdais in sixth. Simon Pagenaud starts 7th with James Hinchcliffe in 8th position. Alexander Rossi 9th with Juan Pablo Montoya rounding off the top 10. 11th goes to Takuma Sato. He's followed by Marco Andretti, who's in 12th position for Adrenaline Motorsport. Gabby Chavez 13th with Ryan Hunter-Reay all the way down in 14th off the pace of teammate Alonso. Ed Jones 15th, a lot of work to do for him. That's Robert Wickens in 16th position. Max Chilton 17th, Graham Rahal in 18th position. 19th on the grid is Felix Rosenquist, followed by Tony Kanaan, who struggled yesterday and could only make 20th. And on the back row of the grid, championship leader J.I. Hildebrand with it all to do from 21st position, and joining him in last place, also a lot of work to do, is Pietro Fittipaldi. And that is the grid for today's race here at Chicagoland Speedway. So there is the grid then guys for today's race here at Chicagoland Speedway, and the weather of course being bright and sunny, so leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the 200 lap race. So here we are then on the grid then. It's Power on the left of your screens, Dixon on the right. Who's going to get the lead into the first banking as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the race here at Chicagoland Speedway for 200 laps of action. 1 light is on, 2 lights are on, 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go here at Chicagoland Speedway. It's a good start from Power, who cuts the inside of Dixon. Alonso's got a good start as well, trying to get by on Scott Dixon now, and he goes alongside him down to the first banking. Dixon just has the edge going into the first banking now then. Bourdais got a good start as well. He's got ahead of teammate Castroneves and on the inside of Joseph Newgarden into the first banking now then. Can everybody get through okay? There doesn't seem to be any much of carnage at the moment as everyone just plows away for the first corner. Power still leads around the first banking as Alonso's on the inside of Scott Dixon. Round the first banking we go. Dixon still on the outside, heading down towards this mini straight now then. Alonso with a lot more power than he, so look at the speed he has. Got a little bit backed up a little bit by Will Power going into the next banking. Has he got Dixon? Dixon still sticking with him around this banking now then. He's now going to try and look around the outside of Will Power for the lead of the race, his own teammate. Round the banking we go. Has Dixon got the place? Yes he has. Dixon leads at Chicagoland Speedway. Alonso follows through up to second. Pagenaud's got up to fourth, and now he's alongside Power and gets on to third place. Alonso on the outside of Dixon. Dixon just holds on for the moment as they go around the first banking. Ryan Hunter-Reay, look at him from 14th on the grid. He's already up to 4th. A fantastic start from him. And now he's on the inside of Pagenaud now then for P3. Can he get the move done? Side by side they go, and he's just got the edge, I think. Alonso still in the solution with Dixon. He's now looking to the inside. The E-Powers are on a charge today. Alonso on the inside into the next banking. He's grabbed the lead. Alonso leads at Chicagoland Speedway as Ryan Hunter-Reay gets up to third. He's got 3 cars behind him at the moment, including Bourdais, who's now on the inside of Pagenaud as they come down towards the straight to complete lap 2 of the race. Dixon though back on the inside of Alonso and grabs the lead again as Bourdais now sets the fastest lap. Dixon back in front at the moment as now Power, is it Power? No, it's Bourdais. Bourdais on the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Is it going to be P3 for the defending champion? And it is P3 then for Sebastian Bourdais. And that's that really. Sorry about that. Is now, as you can see, Ryan Hunter-Reay has got Alonso Bourdais up to second place now, trying to attack Dixon for the lead. As you can see now, Hinchcliffe and Newgarden fighting out for 5th. Everybody seems to have got through okay now. Then Cash and Evans is down the field, all the way down in 10th, so he's not had a good start as well. The two SICs bring up the rear of the field. Bourdais now trying to attack Dixon, looking to make it 2 wins in a row if he can, as Bourdais tries to make a championship fight back after a tricky start to the season. Bourdais looking to the inside, he's got Ryan Hunter-Reay 3 wide. Into the second banking, 3 wide into the corner. Who's got the lead between these two? And it's going to be Ryan Hunter-Reay who now leads for E-Power. Ryan Hunter-Reay now leads the race. Bourdais grabs second from Dixon, but Hunter-Reay now leads the race in front of Sebastian Bourdais. And Newgarden's been clipped. Newgarden has been clipped by Alonso, I think. Newgarden has gone for a spin. I think he's lost a wheel and has had a huge crash down the straight. He's been clipped by somebody else trying to avoid him. Newgarden has been clipped. I think that's Ed Jones who's just gone off the track. And, wow, carnage. At the moment, Power's on the way down in 15th place. We're trying to get back to Ed Jones. Jones has also crashed. This is unbelievable. Both Target and the Graham racing cars have had a crash. And there's Newgarden in front. Looks like Alonso it was that clipped him. We'll have to have a look from Alonso's perspective, and then we'll see who on earth clipped Ed Jones to send him out of the race. Andy Graham right in front of his very eyes. Cannot believe it, as both Jones and Newgarden are out of the race as the top 3 in front. You can just see from Alonso's perspective are still squabbling. No, it wasn't. It was in fact one of the Martinis. It was James Hinchcliffe who was on the outside of Joseph Newgarden. Looks like Newgarden was trying to pinch Hinchcliffe on the outside and pretty much cause his own action. We'll have a look at it. Now let's see what on earth happened then to Ed Jones in the other Target Andy Graham racing car, as he's now out of the race. We're trying to find him. Whereabouts was he on the track? We're trying to get hold of him. And whereabouts was he on the track? And there he is. And did he get collected by Jones? I think Jones actually got collected by Joseph Newgarden. And wow, both of them out of the race as a result. And wow, did he get collected? That's what I want to know. Coming down the straight, there is the Newgarden crash that's just happened in front. And yes, he got collected by Newgarden that was spinning around. So Jones was just a passenger at that point. It will be investigated, but I doubt nothing will come out of it. So as a result, both Target Andy Graham racing cars are out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners here at the Chicagoland Speedway. Everybody now just clustering up behind each other now then, as a result of the accident that has happened in this race, as Bourdais now leads, or does he? Because Ryan Hunter-Reay is still alongside him. The E-Power and the EMR going side by side with each other now then into the next banking. Ryan Hunter-Reay just has the edge to keep on the lead at this stage as they just go around the second banking. Dixon's fell back now from the top 2 as the 2 Hondas fight it out for the lead of the race now, and heading down the straight. Confirmation that both of them are out of the race, as now heading down the pit straight now where all the chaos is kicked off as we start lap number 6 of the race. The yellows are still out there, so no overtaking can be done, as now into the first banking. They've just cleared the yellow flag, and now Bourdais free to attack down the inside into the corner, and Bourdais grabs the lead from Hunter-Reay. Into the lead of the race then goes defending champion Sebastian Bourdais, looking to make it 2 wins in a row, but Ryan Hunter-Reay has now given up again, sticking in the slipstream of Sebastian Bourdais. Will Hunter-Reay retake the lead from Sebastian? Into the second banking we go, side by side go the E-Power and the EMR. Has Ryan Hunter-Reay got the lead back? Yes, he has. Ryan Hunter-Reay once again leading the race all the way from 14th on the grid. What a race, what a comeback he's had through the field. As now heading down the straight again, Bourdais will look to the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Not quite. Hunter-Reay just shutting the door on him there as we start lap 7 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway. And what a race we've got in store here today. Bourdais now dropped back a bit from new race leader Ryan Hunter-Reay in the E-Power car, and looks like maybe Bourdais might have to do a little bit of defending from Scott Dixon. Dixon still a fair way bit back, but we'll give it a good shot either way as they all come down this straight now. And here's Hinchcliffe in 4th now, then Rossi up to 6th place now, then trying to attack Alonso in front, who's down to 5th. Some side-by-side action there then between Rosenquist and Marco Andretti. As now we go around this banking now, then Ryan Hunter-Reay still leading the way at this stage in the E-Power car now, then just going around that banking, heading down the straight to start another lap as Bourdais still tries to attack him for the lead of the race. As Hunter-Reay now then starts another lap heading into the first banking now, then he will go on the track as the E-Power now then looks to try and get his and the team's first ever victory in IFMC IndyCar. Round the banking we go. But Bourdais was trying to clash him up, but as you can see, look, judging from this onboard camera, that Hunter Ray has now stretched the advantage a little bit now then, and just pulled a bit of a gap now then in front of Sebastian Bourdais as they now make their way round the banking. Look at Dixon now then starting to chase down Bourdais for second place, so he's trying to get himself back into the scrap. James Hinchcliffe also not that far behind either. Heading down the pit straight now then we will go on the racetrack. And Dixon now then still trying to attack Bourdais if he can into the first banking. We go on the racetrack, and so much stuff going on at the front. Pietro Fittipaldi now bringing up the rear of the fielders. Look at all these cars that have jammed up as a result of trying to avoid the two Target Andy Graham racing cars that were fighting it out a little bit earlier. Here's Alexander Rossi now then trying to pile the pressure on Fernando Alonso for 5th place. Simon Pagenaud also not that far behind either in the Silicon Valley racing car. His teammate somewhere down the field, I'm not quite sure where. We'll try and get hold of if we can. So he's down in 18th at the moment. There he is, you can just see him. He's just in front of Pietro Fittipaldi now then. And he's about to be overtaken, in fact, as through the banking now then we go. Ryan Hunter-Reay still leading the way at the moment in the E-Power car as he will start lap 10 of the race. And Ryan Hunter-Reay now then starting another lap. In terms of the pit stops, let's try and see if we can figure this one out then. 23.6, 29.3, 23.1, 25.0. In fact, it looks like J.R. Hildebrand might have had a problem actually. No, that's not. That's James Hinchcliffe. Maybe Rahal has got a problem because look at the indicator on Hinchcliffe's car. He's got X, which means his teammate is coming into the pits. So is there problems for Graham Rahal in the Martini, and whereabouts? There he is. It's a loose wheel for Graham Rahal. He's in with a loose wheel now then. It's a disaster for him then as far as he's concerned, and he's having to pit for a new wheel. And so disaster for him then really as far as he's concerned. There's J.R. Hildebrand dropping back. He's all the way down in 19th position and just dropping way back from the rest of the pack. He seems to be struggling at the moment in this race. He just doesn't seem to have the pace. He didn't have the pace in qualifying, and just seems to be struggling overall around this track. Rahal looks like he's going to be a lap down in this race, so a disaster for him then as he finishes off his pit stops to repair the loose wheel. Meantime, Bourdais starting to close back in now on the race leader Ryan Hunter-Reay, looking to resume the battle they had a little bit earlier in the race. Dixon starting to fall back again a little bit. Into the first banking we go. Bourdais now then just trying to... Where was we in terms of fuel? Actually trying to take a look. 22.5, 28.0, 21.8, 23.8, 26.5, 25.8, 23.8, 23.7, 35.6, 26.3, 24.1, 28.2, 24.2, 26.2, 85.8, 27.9, 28.3, 28.1, 26.0, 26.2, and that's that. They are all the fuel loads at the moment. It's now Bourdais not quite close enough at this stage to try and attack Ryan Hunter-Reay again for the lead of the race, as now they make their way around the banking. Bourdais now then still trying to cling on to him at this stage. Round the first banking we go. Bourdais now then going to try and attack the slipstream now then of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Down the straight we go now then. Can he get the move done as he looks to the inside into the first banking? Has he got the lead again off Ryan Hunter-Reay down the inside? And yes, he has. Sebastian Bourdais back in the lead of the race. Bourdais now then back in front as but Ryan Hunter-Reay will try and attack him again. Finds a gap on the inside going down this straight. Will Ryan Hunter-Reay regain the lead again from Sebastian Bourdais? And yes, he does. Back in the lead of the race goes Hunter-Reay. Bourdais trying to get back onto the inside of the E-Power car now then as he will go side by side around the second banking. Bourdais with a gap on the inside. Has he grabbed the lead back off Ryan Hunter-Reay? Side by side to go, heading down the straight again before they start another lap. Side by side to go, heading into the next banking now then. We will soon go across the line to start another lap into the next banking, and Bourdais has grabbed the lead again. Bourdais in the lead now then once again here at Chicagoland Speedway. Can he create a bit of a buffer now between himself and Ryan Hunter-Reay now then, as Dixon tries to follow the pair of them at this stage of the race now then, heading down this straight. And now into the second banking they'll soon go. Hinchcliffe not really getting onto these guys as much as you would anticipate. Rossi still not being able to attack Fernando Alonso yet for 5th place, as they will now approach the next corner on the track. And now into the next left-hander we go. As Bourdais now then round the banking he goes now, heading down towards the straight will soon go. As Bourdais now then going around the left-hander on the track, as they will soon go into the next banking very soon. Ryan Hunter-Reay in second, Scott Dixon third on the road, as he tries to close up onto the top two. The Eldorado driver now then around this first banking he goes. As we're already over we're now on lap 13, I think we are. No, lap 14 now of 200 in the Chicagoland Speedway. And at the moment it's looking very, very interesting at the front of the moment, as it has been in pretty much every oval race we've had this season. Simon Pagenaud still trying to gain onto the guys in front. As Hinchcliffe now then still trying to get hold of the top three if he can. And here comes Bourdais now then, round this banking he goes, as he still continues to lead the way at the moment in his EMR, heading down the straight. And he'll soon come up towards the next banking in a little bit. Bourdais now then up towards the first banking he'll go on the racetrack. And as he continues to try and stretch his advantage now then in front of Ryan Hunter-Reay's e-power car. So he looks to try and get his third victory of the season now then. And Bourdais on a roll, it seems, ever since he started finishing races again in Detroit. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Hunter-Reay and even Scott Dixon putting themselves back into that scrap for the lead of the race, as they will now go around the first banking on the racetrack. Through this banking now, then we go through the second banking, heading down towards the start-finish line. We will soon go on the racetrack down the straight, as Ryan Hunter-Reay now they're still trying to put Bourdais under a little bit of pressure now then in this race. And now up towards the first banking we go on the track. Round we go. So Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying to get up to the back of Bourdais if he can. The e-power now then, just losing more time now then to I'm about to say to Sebastian Bourdais. And look how much time J.R. Hildebrand is just losing. He's just struggling around here, it must be said. Is there something wrong with his car? Because he's just struggling around. This is not good for his championship, it must be said. Considering all of his rivals are starting to now catch back up to him in the Drivers' Championship. Bourdais now then heading down this straight now then. And still continuing to lead the way at this stage as they all now approach the first banking. And as you can see, Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying to close up in the e-power car. Here is Scott Dixon. Round the corner he goes, as he tries to get hold of the top two at the moment, as his teammate now then down the field after starting on the pole position. His teammate being, of course, Will Power. He's way down, in fact. Where is he now? Power is down in 14th after starting from pole position. He's all the way down in 14th place, so not a good race for his standards, that's for sure. As here is Alonso now then, currently 5th, still trying to hold on to Alexander Rossi at the moment. As Rossi's still not been able to cling onto the slipstream yet of Fernando Alonso. And at the moment, you can see the top three just in the distance, looking just about to see. As you can see, Bourdais still with quite a healthy lead at the moment. Hunter-Reay still not being able to get up to it. Looks like, from the looks of it, looks like Dixon's closing up to Hunter-Reay more than what Hunter-Reay is trying to close up onto Sebastian Bourdais at the moment. Into the first banking now, then we go, as Rossi still wants to try and put Fernando Alonso under a lot of pressure in this race now then. In the Fantari car, we ride on board with Fernando Alonso, who's now just losing time hand over fist to the top four in front of him. And so that's pretty much that really as far as he's concerned. Dixon though really starting now to close in on second place man Ryan Hunter-Reay, as now on this banking we go, heading down the straight now then, heading into the first banking. We will soon go on the racetrack, and so far not close enough yet to get a hold of him at this stage. And now we will approach the first banking very soon, and so now around this first banking we go. Look at the lead now that Bourdais has created at the front of the field. Bourdais, as we mentioned, just like in the last race, on an absolute roll at the moment as he looks to try and retain his championship, try and get a second championship in the bag. As now into the second banking we go. As Dixon now then trying to creep up onto the back of Ryan Hunter-Reay at this stage now then. Round the banking we go, heading down the straight, and will Dixon get hold of Ryan Hunter-Reay for second place? Around this left-hander we go, and so far just not close enough at the moment now then. Round the first banking we go. And Dixon now then still putting some pressure on the IFMC car. Now they're all trying to get onto the slipstream of the Amaretti's team. He's being driven by Ryan Hunter-Reay. And in terms of pit stops, we're still quite a bit away at the moment. Bourdais is running a little bit more than the guys behind him, but still lapping some really good pace in that car at this stage. Round the banking we go. Can Dixon find a way through on Ryan Hunter-Reay? As we will soon head down the straight. And Dixon now then starting to get in the slipstream of Ryan Hunter-Reay's IFMC car. Heading into the first banking now then we will go. And so now around the first banking, Dixon at the moment still putting the pressure on Ryan Hunter-Reay at the moment. He's currently lying, I think, in around about third in the Drivers' Championship at this stage. So he's doing quite a good job, it must be said, keeping consistent. He's been a little bit more consistent this year than Will Power, so he's definitely improved from his driving last season as he looks to try and get himself into the championship scrap this season. As look how close he is now to Ryan Hunter-Reay, just going around this banking. He's now right in the slipstream. Can Dixon now grab hold of second place from Ryan Hunter-Reay now? Then heading down the pit straight now. Then Dixon looks to the inside. Is it going to be P2 for the Kiwi now? Then and yes, it is. Up into second place goes Scott Dixon in the Eldorado, and that is P2 for him now. Then as they make their way round the first banking, Dixon now will try and get hold of race leader Sebastian Bourdais if he can, but no, Ryan Hunter-Reay getting back at him now, then looking around the outside, around this banking, side by side they go. Will Ryan Hunter-Reay retake second place from Scott Dixon? Into the next banking we go, as they all go side by side with each other now, then round the banking, as Hinchcliffe still quite a bit away, still side by side, round the banking goes the pair of them. Dixon just has the edge at the moment to hold on to second place. Ryan Hunter-Reay will try and get him back though into the first banking if he can, still right in the slipstream of the Kiwi now then, as he will look to the inside. Can Ryan Hunter-Reay pull the move off on Scott Dixon now then round the first banking? Can he grab second? Yes, he has. Back up to second place goes Ryan Hunter-Reay in the IFMC car now then, heading down the straight as he will try and get all of Sebastian Bourdais in front of him at the moment. And now into the next banking we go, but Dixon back on the inside of Hunter-Reay. Will he retake second place from him again? Yes, he will. Back up to second goes Scott Dixon in the Eldorado now then, as the pair of them look to try and get hold of Bourdais in front. As meantime now then, Ryan Hunter-Reay back in the slipstream of Scott Dixon. Side by side go the pair of them now then. Will he try and grab the position off him now then as it will continue? No, not quite. Still able to stick behind him at this stage as Bourdais now then around the first banking he goes. Could feel some pressure from Dixon very soon if he can try and continue to close him in at this stage of the race. Into the next banking we will soon go on the racetrack, and Dixon now then really trying everything to pile on the defending champion, try and pile the pressure, but Ryan Hunter-Reay still with him now then. Ryan Hunter-Reay finds a gap on the inside. Can he grab second again from the Kiwi as they go side by side with each other now then, coming out of the second banking? Ryan Hunter-Reay on the inside. Has he got the lead, got second back off Scott Dixon now then? They're still going to remain side by side up towards the first banking now then. We will soon go on the track. Will Ryan Hunter-Reay just has the edge side by side? And yes, Ryan Hunter-Reay back up into second place, so retaking P2 goes Ryan Hunter-Reay as he will now make his way down the straight before approaching the next corner on the track. And so now into the next banking we will soon go, but Dixon is back on the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay again into the second banking. Can Dixon re-grab second? Yes, Dixon back up to second place. Bourdais just watching on in his mirrors, just hoping they can continue to fight it out, but it looks like the pair of them are again starting to gain onto race leader Sebastian Bourdais up towards the first banking now. Then we will go on the racetrack, and we're getting quite close actually to the pit stop stages, as now back on the inside goes Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he gets back up into second place. So back up into P2 goes Ryan Hunter-Reay. Will Dixon try and get him again down this straight? And Dixon again with the slipstream on Ryan Hunter-Reay now. They tries to look to the inside. No. Again, Ryan Hunter-Reay still able to hang on, or does he now then? Coming up towards the banking again. Down the inside goes Scott Dixon yet again on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Is this going to be P2 again? Yes, it is. Up to second goes Scott Dixon in the Eldorado. And so back up to P2 goes the Kiwi now. Then we ride on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Scott Dixon getting closer now into the back of Sebastian Bourdais EMR as Ryan Hunter-Reay now then back on the inside of him now then into the first banking. Ryan Hunter-Reay on the inside as he grabs second as Castaneras now sets the fastest lap at 36.678. So Castaneras going early on to the bonus point. Back up to second place goes Ryan Hunter-Reay, and now he has the slipstream again on Sebastian Bourdais for the lead. Can Ryan Hunter-Reay grab the lead again from Sebastian Bourdais? Down the inside he goes. Has he got the lead? And yes, he has. Ryan Hunter-Reay yet again leads at Chicagoland Speedway. Round the banking we go, but Bourdais getting back on the inside. Bourdais, can he re-grab the lead again from the American? Now then down the inside, and yes, Bourdais still back in front of the moment. Dixon just watching on, possibly with popcorn in the cockpit, just hoping that one of these two will mess up in some way as Ryan Hunter-Reay tries to get in that gap on the inside of Bourdais, isn't able to make it work out, has to back out, couldn't allow Dixon to get back up to him. Now then out of the first banking we go, goes all three of them now. They're heading down the straight. As you can see, Ryan Hunter-Reay again on the inside of Sebastian Bourdais. Will this be the lead for Ryan Hunter-Reay? Yes, it is. Hunter-Reay now then back in the lead of the race as Dixon closes up on the pair of them yet again, trying to get himself into this scrap for the lead of the race. Heading down the straight we go. Dixon now has the slipstream on Bourdais, but Bourdais has the slipstream on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Dixon in the slipstream. Is he going to make it 3 wide? It's going to be 3 wide, I think. No, Dixon thought better of it in case Ryan Hunter-Reay closed the door as Bourdais on the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Bourdais re-grabs the lead from Ryan Hunter-Reay again, but Dixon's going to take full advantage and slips up into second. He's got momentum now round the outside of Sebastian Bourdais. Is Dixon going to take the lead of the race now then? Yes, he can. Dixon leads here at Chicagoland Speedway, and Dixon now back in front of the race now then as Bourdais might be starting to fall back a little bit now then from the race leader, because Ryan Hunter-Reay again on the inside of Bourdais. Is it going to be P2 for him? Yes, it is. Hunter-Reay up into second, pushes Bourdais down to third place. Heading down the straight we go, heading down towards the start finish line now then, and Hunter-Reay now trying to get in the slipstream of Scott Dixon if he can, but Bourdais on the inside of him again. Bourdais, can he grab second again from Ryan Hunter-Reay? Side by side to go. No, Ryan Hunter-Reay, because he's got the slipstream on Dixon in front, trying to grab the lead from him again as they will go down this straight, and had to back out again. Could it allow Bourdais to slip back through on Ryan Hunter-Reay again for second place? Into the second banking we go. Ryan Hunter-Reay though finds a gap this time on Dixon down the inside. Into the second banking, and Ryan Hunter-Reay re-grabs the lead from Scott Dixon as they now make it through the corner. It's now pit stop time, and a crash between Dixon and Bourdais. Bourdais has rolled it. Bourdais has rolled it as Dixon was trying to make his way to the pits. A huge crash for the defending champion. Sebastian Bourdais is out of the race with a huge crash as Hunter-Reay pits, avoiding the carnage. Dixon is out of the race himself, and wow, let's have a look then. As you can see, Hunter-Reay comes in. Bourdais was on the inside and gets clipped by Scott Dixon. Into a roll he goes. Bourdais out, and we're down to 19 runners, or I should say 18 runners, because Dixon is now out of the race as well. We're down to 18 runners. It will allow Ryan Hunter-Reay now to get a huge lead in front, and well, that's exactly what team boss Oliver Glazebrook needed in that big scrap. Dixon and Bourdais are out, and that will definitely be under investigation, that is for sure. So 3 incidents to look at there then here at Chicagoland Speedway, and Bourdais now then possibly furious, and I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Ionescu and James Willows, who have been bitter rivals in IFMC before, will be having it out after that one. And wow, race over for the pair of them as the steward now then attempts to clear Bourdais' car. And who does that now put up to second? I think that now puts James Hinchcliffe up to a provisional second place. I don't know if he's coming to the pits or not, but we know that Hunter-Reay has made a pit stop and was looking to get out of it all, really. Otherwise it could have been a very huge crash indeed, and it would have allowed Hinchcliffe to lead the race comfortably. But there we are, really. As where did Hunter-Reay rejoin after the pit stop? He rejoined in 17th place, so it is Hinchcliffe who takes the lead temporarily ahead of Rossi, who, unseen by the cameras, has got ahead of Alonso, so he now gets himself up into what will be 3rd place once everybody else pits now that Dixon and Bourdais are out. But Rossi might have the slipstream on James Hinchcliffe, so he could be after more in this race now. And as they come out of the banking, as now into the pits now then comes James Hinchcliffe, as Bourdais' car is still being cleared. So Hinchcliffe now then into the pits, as is Sebastian Bourdais. A few cars coming in this lap, as is one of the Martinis, I think is coming. Sorry, that is Hinchcliffe, who's a Martini. One of the Silicon Valley Racing cars in, that'll be Simon Pagenaud. And who else is coming in? Adrenaline getting ready for one of their cars. Hinchcliffe now being served in his box. Whereabouts is Hunter Ray? I would presume he'll still be out in front, but we'll wait and see. Whereabouts is he on the track as pit stop activity is getting underway around this track. And there is Hunter Ray now, just coming around the second banking himself. And Hunter Ray now, they're just going around the corner. Takuma Sato, Fantire Racing, is also into the pits. As Hinchcliffe, has he finished his pit stop? Yes, he has. He's just coming out, but I think Hunter Ray will still find himself in front. Just keep an eye just in front, just to see a white car go through. And whereabouts is he now then? In fact, where is he? Where is Hunter Ray? There he is. He's just going to get himself ahead. So Hunter Ray back in front at the moment, but Hinchcliffe still with quite a bit to do. Obviously, it's going to be quite slow because the guys are not quite up to speed as they come out of that pit exit. It's quite a weird pit exit, this one is. So they're not quite up to speed yet. And they'll probably lose a little bit more time to Hunter Ray. And could be a few more positions. Helio Castaneris finishes his pit stop. As there is Rossi still yet to make a pit stop. He leads temporarily. And he will be pitting at the end of this lap then. So Rossi for Fantire Racing is pitting at the end of this lap now then. As they will make their way now then into the second banking. We will now go on the racetrack. So Rossi will now peel into the pits yet again in this race. As now let's have a look down. And there you go then. So Alexander Rossi pits for his scheduled stop. As there are the Fantire Racing mechanics waiting for him. Looks like there's another mechanic in front as well. I think they're Red Rose Racing mechanics, if I'm right in saying. So Rossi now then being served in his box. And in fact, no, I think they're E-Power mechanics. In fact, Alonso is into the pits. As in fact, Red Rose mechanics are into the pits for Juan Pablo Montoya. Because he was in front of Rosenquist before the pit stops. As Silicon Valley get ready for JR Hildebrand, who's struggling at the moment, the championship leader. Clearly struggling at the moment, but he'll be relieved now that Bourdais and Dixon are out, but not quite relieved that Alonso's still in this as well. Another one of his rivals, and even his teammate Simon Pagenaud is out there as well. He's just made a pit stop. As out of the pit lane then goes Rossi. Where is Hunter Ray? Where would Rossi even emerge out of this? He was battling with Hinchcliffe before the pit stops, so could he actually get the jump on him? Possibly initially. Remember, they're still trying to build up the speed once they come out of the pit lane exit. Through goes Hunter Ray. He was always going to get in front anyway, as Alonso has in fact actually got the jump on Rossi in the pit. So Alonso gets himself back in front of Rossi, and he'll get himself in front. Where is Hinchcliffe? Through goes Hunter Ray, Alonso's teammate. There is Rossi, and there is Hinchcliffe, going to pass the pair of them as they still try and build up the speed. As there is Pagenaud now then trying to get himself onto the podium. As Alonso and Rossi still trying to build up the speed. Through goes Pagenaud now then on Rossi. Will he get through on Fernando Alonso? As they will come down this straight now then. And Alonso's going to try and fend him off if he can, which he does. Alonso might keep all the place. And Alonso is in third place, I think. As a result of the pit stop, but I think he's still trying to build up the speed. But Pagenaud now then on the inside of Fernando Alonso. Can he grab third himself? And yes, he does. Still in third place goes Simon Pagenaud, but it is Hunter Ray now. They're still not leading. There's still a few cars left to pit, including Robert Wickens is in fifth place. Pietro Fittipaldi, Montoya. So in fact, it was Rosenquist who was in for Red Rose Racing, not Montoya. And Power, who's still yet to make a pit stop himself. So he stayed out for quite a while in this race. As meantime, Alonso and Pagenaud still at war as they fight it out for the position. Side by side they go. Alonso gets himself back in front then of Simon Pagenaud. Around the banking we go. Max Chilton of SIC is now into the pits for his scheduled stop. As is Pietro Fittipaldi, so a few more places are going to be gained by these guys. As Pagenaud still fighting with Alonso now then in this race, as the pair of them continues to scrap it out. Castaneves and Rossi also scrapping it out for what will be a provisional fifth place. Rossi on the inside of Castaneves as he grabbed the place. Yes, he has. Up to fifth goes Alexander Rossi himself, and Alonso still trying to stay in front of Pagenaud, who's still trying to get on the inside of him now then round this second banking. Side by side to go, and has Pagenaud just got the edge? Robert Wickens now in for Adrenaline Motorsport. Side by side go Alonso and Pagenaud down the start finish straight, as Pagenaud gets the edge and holds on for the moment in this race. As out of the pit lane then goes Chilton. Hunter Ray back into third, and of course that being that really, who is currently leading now then, as Montoya is now in from second place. Power's still out there at the moment, and in fact he's got quite a lot of fuel in his tank. He's got around 61.7 litres, so in fact, Power looks to be on a one-stop, in fact, in this race. So Power looking to go quite long, unless he's going quite long itself in this race, because Power has got a lot of fuel in his tank, and he'll try and take full advantage of this if he can now then. And clearly, I think a lap in front of everybody as well. But we'll wait and see how that one pans out. Unless Power has already made a pit stop, I'm not 100% sure. But Montoya finishes his pit stop as out goes Helio Castroneves. Castroneves out, so both EMRs out of the race. It's suspension failure that takes care of Helio Castroneves, who was fighting for 5th with Alexander Rossi. And, well, 6th place now. Now we know that Power, I don't know if he's actually made a pit stop. I think he might have not. I don't know if he's on a one-stop. I don't remember him making a pit stop. I could be 100% wrong on that fact. But there we are, really. Castroneves out of the race, and we're down to 17 runners as Ryan Hunter raced second. Where is the race leader on the track? There he is. He's still trying to come up to the traffic, but he is on quite a heavy fuel load, it must be said. So it'll be very interesting to see how that one will pay off in the long run. As we look at second place man Ryan Hunter Ray, who's trying to chase him down if he can. He's now up in second place, and now hasn't got Dixon and Bourdais worrying about around him at the moment. So that could explain why Power was a long way back after the start. He's on a heavy fuel load, and looking to try and take full advantage of this if he can now then. As Ryan Hunter Ray now then still tries to chase him down as they go down the second back straight now. They're heading into the second banking. He will soon go on the track now then. Around the banking he goes. As we're now on lap 40 now then, I think we're on. Unless Power is a lap up on everybody. He's on lap 40, so no, Hunter Ray is not a lap down. He's just quite a long way behind. So on lap 40 now then of 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway. So specifically, we now have 161 laps remaining here in Illinois. And now Ryan Hunter Ray tries to continue to try and chase down Will Power as best as possible in the E-Power car, and looking to try and cut the gap down. Of course, Power is coming up to traffic himself, so it could help Ryan Hunter Ray out a little bit, but he's still got quite a way to try and gain onto Will Power, who is looking for his and Eldorado Indy's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. Same with Ryan Hunter Ray as well, same sort of scenario, looking for his and E-Power's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. As now around the banking we will go as they come down the straight now then. Hunter Ray still trying to close onto Power if he can. Power, whereabouts is he on the track? Look at the amount of traffic Power has got to clear out before he can get some breathing space in this race, it must be said. And Power now then still leading the way at the moment in the Eldorado as he tries to lap everybody that's around him at this stage. As meantime, here's James Hinchcliffe in third place, still quite a bit off Ryan Hunter Ray at the moment, and we'll look to try and gain onto him if he can, as they just made their way around through these section of corners. And just heading down the straight now then goes the Mayor of Hinchtown, still trying to get hold of Ryan Hunter Ray. You can just see him on the left of your screen there. You just about saw. You can just get a reference of how far back James Hinchcliffe is to the back of Ryan Hunter Ray at the moment, as they now make the way around through these section of corners now then on the racetrack. And the Mayor of Hinchtown currently in third place at the moment. Here's Alonso, who's fighting with Chilton, who's got himself up to 5th after the pit stop, so he's gained a lot of time. Chilton up to 5th, but he's got Alonso breathing down his neck now then. Alonso side by side with Max Chilton. Can he grab 5th from the Brit now then into the first banking? And as they go side by side around the corner now then, and there's 3 wide in the background as Alonso grabs 5th place. Takuma Sato grabs 8th from Rossi, and own teammate Rossi, who's now gone backwards at the moment now then. Rosenquist off to 7th after the pit stop, so he's gained a lot of time as well. So a lot of time being gained in the pit stops, it must be said. Andretti though still on the inside of Takuma Sato's Fantari car as they continue to scrap it out for 8th place. Will Andretti just get the edge? And yes, he will. Andretti up into 8th place yet again as Chilton and Alonso continue to go side by side. Chilton regains 5th from the 3-time IFMC champion. So Chilton back up into 5th place, doing a good job after only qualifying 17th yesterday. As now Alonso trying to get alongside Max Chilton himself, heading into the first banking. We will soon go on the racetrack. As he got the place back off Max Chilton now then up towards the first banking we go. Side by side. Has he got the place? Yes, he has. Back up to 5th place goes Fernando Alonso in the E-Power car. And as they will now go down the straight, Graham Rahal into the pits, this time for a scheduled stop, unlike the mechanical problem he suffered earlier on in the race. And it is, I think it is a pit stop itself. Whether he's now fueled to the end of the race or whether he's going to be having to pit again, we'll have to wait and see. It only says 33.9 litres in his tank. We'll wait and see on that now then, as here is Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying to chase down Will Power, who's a long way in front, trying to deal with traffic now then, and we do believe that Power is on a heavy fuel strategy at the moment, being out in front of the field. So now we come down the straight, heading into the next banking now then. We will soon go on the racetrack. And Ryan Hunter-Reay now then, up towards the next banking he'll go. So now he just goes around the banking now then on the racetrack, heading down the straight. He will soon go. And Ryan Hunter-Reay now then, what's the gap between him and Will Power at this stage? Power has started lap 45 of 200 now then here at Chicagoland Speedway. So specifically we now have 156 laps to go here, as let's have a look at the gap and see how much he's got to try and get a Power. 21.1 seconds. So that shows how bold of a strategy Will Power is going on to be on a heavy fuel load at this stage. So he's got a 5.4 second cushion in front of James Hinchcliffe at the moment, who is in third place. Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying to ensure he can try and make his strategy work out to perfection. So meantime there is Will Power still leading the way as he now tries to clear the traffic that's in front of him at this stage of the race. As we ride on board with Will Power, look at the amount of traffic he's got to try and clear. Shows how much his one stop is affecting him at the moment and how much the traffic might interfere with his progress. And we'll have a look again at the gap between Ryan Hunter-Reay and Will Power at the moment. Round the first banking we go. It was 21.7, I think it was. It's now down to 21 seconds exactly. So Ryan Hunter-Reay has gained a little bit in terms of pace at the moment. So definitely taking advantage of the fact that Power's having to clear all that traffic that's around him at the moment. So now we go around the banking now then. Goes Ryan Hunter-Reay as he continues to try and gain onto Will Power. Meantime, Chilton has lost the place to Alonso and now to Felix Rosenqvist. So the pair of them have dropped back from Alonso, who's now got up into 5th place, and now Chilton has just been overtaken by Felix Rosenqvist, who looks to try and gain onto Fernando Alonso if he can for 5th place. Round the banking we go. Can Felix Rosenqvist try and get the place of Fernando Alonso now? They're heading down the straight before approaching the first banking very soon on the track, as Rosenqvist now then right in the slipstream of Fernando Alonso. Can he try and get the place? I think he's a little bit too far back to challenge him at the moment, but Rosenqvist looking to try and attack. Well, I say that now because Rossi has now got Chilton for 7th place as he now tries to look to the inside of Felix Rosenqvist. Can Rossi try and grab 6th? No, Rosenqvist shuts the door as he now tries to continue to get in the slipstream of Fernando Alonso in front. Riding on board with the Swede now then. Rossi now then trying to get hold of Felix Rosenqvist in front. Into the next banking we will go on the racetrack. And is he close enough? I don't think he is at the moment. Well, Rossi now then will look to the inside into the last banking now. Then we go Rossi on the inside and he grabs 6th of ease. Up into 6th place goes Alexander Rossi. He's now got momentum to try and get hold of Alonso for 5th place. Now they're heading down the pit straight. Now they're heading in towards the first banking. And will Rossi try and get the place of Fernando Alonso? And he looks a little bit too far back at the moment to try and get him at this stage. Up towards the first banking we go on the track. Rossi on the inside of Alonso. Not quite. Alonso's still able to hold on the moment, to hold on to 5th place at this stage now then. But Rossi looking to the outside. Isn't able to do so. Alonso again trying to cover him off. But now they go side by side of each other now then. Up towards the second banking. We will soon go on the racetrack side by side. Go the pair of them now then, as they will soon approach the next banking. Rossi on the inside. Has he got 5th place from Fernando Alonso? Now then side by side they go, and yes he has. Rossi up into 5th place. That's P5 now then for the American, as now Rosenqvist will try and follow suit as well. Has he got 6th place from Alonso? No, Alonso's there. Alonso trying to get back, and Rossi now then, as they will continue to go side by side of each other in towards the first banking. Now then we will soon go on the racetrack. Side by side they go. Up towards the first banking. Can Alonso hold on to the place? Can he get 5th place now then from Rossi? And yes he can. Up to 5th again. goes Fernando Alonso. And will Rossi and Rosenqvist still try and get hold of them if they can? Rosenqvist again on the inside of Rossi. Will he grab 6th place for him now? And as they go side by side down this back straight before approaching the second banking. And yes, he has. Rosenqvist also on the inside of Alonso. Will he grab 5th now? From the Spaniard, trying to get another place up towards the second banking. Side by side go the pair of them. Has he got the place from Fernando Alonso down the inside? And yes, he has. Rosenqvist up into 5th place now, then to P5 for the Swede. Alonso though back on the inside of Felix Rosenqvist now, then Rossi just watching on if he can as they battle again, and 3 of them continue to scrap it out. Alonso had to back out. Rossi takes advantage, gets up to 6th place, trying to get hold of Rosenqvist still for 5th place now then in the race. Around the banking we go. Rossi trying to look around the outside if he can, but just appears to be again just doesn't seem to have the momentum to get hold of it at the moment. Alonso's now fell back a little bit from this scrap. Rossi now then still trying to get hold of Rosenqvist in front as they will go side by side very soon into the second banking. And Rosenqvist still to hold on for the moment, but Rossi try and find a gap on the inside of the last banking. He's going to have a go. Down the inside he goes. Will Rossi grab the place from Felix Rosenqvist? Side by side go the pair of them now then. And Rossi does. Rossi up into 5th place, getting the move done on Felix Rosenqvist. So P5 goes to Alexander Rossi, but will Rosenqvist try and get him back now then as they go down the straight, looking to the outside? Will Rosenqvist pull the move off? Side by side go the pair of them as they will soon go up towards the first banking on the track. Side by side they go. And so now side by side go the pair of them. Rossi trying to hold on for the moment, which he does. He holds on to 5th at this stage. Rosenqvist though still trying to get hold of him, trying to see if he can hang it around the outside. He had to back out of it eventually, and Rossi holds on to the place. Alonso does not take full advantage of that at this stage and has to remain behind him at the moment. So here is Ryan Hunter-Reay. What's the gap now then between him and Will Power from the last time we checked? We're on lap 52 now then of 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway. So 149 laps remaining, 20.1 seconds. So he's still continuing to gain with Power still trying to lap the traffic that's in front of him at the moment. So that's that for him. Alonso now then trying to continue to try and get on these guys, but Rossi now then has pulled a bit of a gap on Felix Rosenqvist and will now try and run away for 5th place now then. And so that's that really. Here is James Hinchcliffe currently in 3rd place now then as they make their way around the banking. And Hinchcliffe now then still trying to get hold of Hunter-Reay if he can, as he will try and get hold of 2nd in the race. What is the gap now then between Hinchcliffe and Hunter-Reay? As they will now come up towards the banking. Last time we checked it was around about 5.1 seconds. Let's see if Hinchcliffe has gained any time from the last time we have checked onto him now. Then around the banking we go, and no he hasn't. He's fell back now. It's 5.4 seconds the gap between Hunter-Reay and Hinchcliffe in this race. As now down the back street now then goes Hinchcliffe as we now look back at Ryan Hunter-Reay, who will look to try and gain onto Power still, who looks to be on a heavy fuel load here at Chicagoland Speedway. Heading down the straight we go, as we will soon approach the banking very soon on the racetrack. We're 12 minutes away from the 2 o'clock mark for anybody wondering. And now up towards the banking we go. And now around the banking. And so now around the corner we go now then, as they'll soon come down the straight. And now heading in towards the next banking, we will soon go on the racetrack. As Power now then, let's see what he's doing now. Still trying to negotiate the traffic. He's still stuck behind Sato at the moment. So the Aussie, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still getting quite a tad bit frustrated at the moment, as he continues to lose time to Ryan Hunter-Reay's E-Power car. As they will make their way down the straight now then to go. The gap between Hunter-Reay and Power this time by, let's have a look. Up towards the next banking we go. And the gap between them being, around the banking we go. The gap is now, let me have a look, the gap being 20.9 seconds. So that's what the gap stands like at the moment. As now in towards the next banking we soon go. Hunter-Reay though still pushing very hard now to try and get hold of Power in front. And he's just going to keep on pushing as hard as he can really. Meantime, Felix Rosenqvist now then still quite a bit back now then from Alexander Rossi, but still trying his utmost best to get back in the slipstream of the American now. Then round the banking we go. And will Rosenquist try and get hold of Rossi for 5th place at this stage, as they will soon come down the straight. So down the straight we go. Will Rosenquist get the move done on Rossi? He seems a little bit too far back to challenge at the moment, so he's just going to hang back and just wait for an opportunity to come about up towards the first banking now. Then we go on the racetrack. And so now around the left-hander now, then we go. And so now heading down this long straight, we will soon go on the racetrack. And Rosenquist now then. Still trying to put pressure on Rossi. Still not within the slipstream range at the moment yet of the American. As the Swede now then rounds the second banking on the racetrack. And Alonso still keeping within touching distance. In the background looks like Rahal is having a fight with Takuma Sato for what I think is 8th place. I could be wrong on that. In fact, Rahal's trying to unlap himself. Actually, so he's actually just unlapping himself after the problems he had earlier on in the race, which is why he's down the field, not as far down as what Power's got to try and lap at the moment. Well, some of them are ahead of Rahal at this stage, but not all of them. So now in towards the banking, we will soon go on the track. And so now round the corner we go. So Rosenquist now trying to get hold of Rossi in front, as they will continue to scrap it out for 4th place at the moment. Whereabouts is Will Power on the track? There he is. He's just coming up, in fact, to lap Robert Wickens at the moment. So in fact, he's not that far away from the rest of the pack. So it shows how bold he's going with his fuel load. It must be said, as we pointed out a little bit earlier on in the race. But Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying his best to gain onto him. What is the gap between him and Will Power? Will it come up again? We'll have to wait and see, as he's got a 5.3 second cushion. And now in front of James Hinchcliffe's Martini. And what is the gap now then between Power and Hunter-Reay, as they will make their way down the pit straight? And the gap between Hunter-Reay and Power is now, let's have a look, heading into the second banking. We go on the racetrack. And the gap being, let's have a look, as Power will soon be starting lap 60 of the race. As the gap being, I think that's a 21 point something. I'll have a look again, but it looks like Ryan Hunter-Reay has in fact lost time to Will Power. And so he's now starting to drop off the pace a little bit now, is Ryan Hunter-Reay. As they will now make his way around the banking now they're on the track. And let's see now then what the gap is going to be like this time around. So now we'll get a clear indication of what is happening. So if you hear me yawning a few times, that's because I've been up since 6 o'clock to watch Suzuka, and just getting a little bit tired now. And also to watch the MotoGP race at Thailand. So now we're on lap 61. We'll soon be starting at 21.3. So from the last time we checked, Power has actually pulled a gap between himself and Ryan Hunter-Reay. We have 140 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway. We're still to get through the second round of stops and possibly the one stop for Will Power. And so far the traffic is now starting to not affect him now at this stage. He's starting to push a little bit more in the Eldorado, as he looks to try and get his and Eldorado's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. And he looks to do it here at Chicagoland Speedway. Heading down the straight we go, and adding up towards the next banking on the track will soon go. And now let's have a look at the gap this time by. And the gap between Power and Hunter-Reay, 21.2. So Hunter-Reay has gained a 10th, but it's still not quite enough to be up to him at the moment. He needs to start putting in some rapid lap times if he wants to get onto the back of Power very, very soon within the race. But at the moment, things looking to come to plan for what we appear to be the one stop in Will Power at this stage, as they now round the banking now they're on the track. Heading down the straight as Ryan Hunter-Reay continues to try and chase down Will Power, as there's an engine blow up in front of him, and that is Alexander Rossi. Rossi has got an engine failure and problems for the Pantari driver. Alexander Rossi is going to be finding himself out of the race, and what a shame for Rossi. He was looking very strong around here at Chicagoland Speedway, looking good for some solid points. Power got a little bit held up, and that could allow Hunter-Reay to close up just a little bit. But Alexander Rossi is going to find himself out of the race and will soon be down to what I think will be 16 runners here at Chicagoland Speedway. He's now holding up his teammate at the moment. He's trying to find a way through on him at the moment, as Rossi's engine still smoking at the moment at the back of the Fantari car, as Sato has now this fire coming out of the car now then, as Sato got really held up, has now been overtaken by Gary Chavez. Now fire is coming off the back of Alexander Rossi's Fantari car, and he'll have to pull over soon. The engine sounds like it has been turned off. Looks like he's going to pull off. No, he hasn't. In fact, the engine is still rolling at the moment, and won't be surprised if it switches off very soon, and that will be game over for Alexander Rossi. Through goes the Silicon Valley, and that sounds like his engine has now let up, has given up the ghost, and Rossi will be out of the race. As a result, Sato again getting held up, as Hildebrand has now gained a place. So I bet there'll be discussions between Takuma Sato and Alexander Rossi after the race in regards to that. I bet Sato is very angry at the moment with Rossi, as Rossi now then will pull off to the side of the track. Alexander Rossi is going to be out of the race and will be down to 16 runners here at Chicagoland Speedway. Just try and get to a marshal's post so they can extinguish the fire that's come off the back of the car, and he's bouncing off the wall there, but Alexander Rossi is out of the race and we're down to 16 runners here at Chicagoland Speedway, and that is game over for him, as we now are about on lap 64 of the race. Soon be lap 65 once Power crosses the line. So once he crosses the line, we will have 116, 16? Sorry, 104. Oh, I'm losing count now. 137 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway. 5.2 second cushion Hunter Ray has on Hinchcliffe. We're 3 minutes away from the 2 o'clock mark for anybody wondering. So now we are coming around this banked corner now then in a little bit, and we're going to be, as you can see, Ryan Hunter Ray will start another lap very soon up towards the banking now. Then we will go Ryan Hunter Ray in the E-Power car, as now around this banking we go. Ryan Hunter Ray still will probably be pitting very soon. What is Will Power's fuel load? That's what I want to know. He's still got quite a lot in the tank, so even when the second round of stops get underway, Power will still have quite a huge lead. So a really tactical gamble at the moment. Once he does pit, he's still got quite a lot of fuel to burn at this stage of the race. But at this stage, all things looking good for Will Power in this race. As now out of the banking now, then we go heading down the straight, and Ryan Hunter Ray still trying to get onto Power, as he's still surrounded by that traffic that's around him at the moment. 6.3 litres left in Ryan Hunter Ray's car now then. Around this banking we go, as now the gap is 20.6 seconds, so Ryan Hunter Ray starting to eat at Will Power's lead yet again in the race. So Ryan Hunter Ray starting to gain, as now he will approach the second banking very soon on the track. And now around the corner he goes, as he just goes around the section of corners, well, around the banking I should say, and now heading down the straight. We will soon go on the racetrack, and now heading down the straight, as into the pits comes James Hinchcliffe in the Martini. So the second round of stops are underway. Silicon Valley Racing getting ready for Simon Pagenaud, it appears, but James Hinchcliffe is in for his scheduled stop, and let's see where this one will put him out, as he now puts on a change of tyres and fuel in the car. And where is James Hinchcliffe going to emerge then after the pit stop? So he waits for the trolley to lower him down to the ground, and then he should make his way back out onto the track. As into the pits comes one of the adrenaline cars, that is Marco Andretti, who has now come into the pits, as James Hinchcliffe still waiting to go at the moment, and he should be coming out of the pit lane very soon. He's now actually fueled into the end of the race now that you think of it, and James Hinchcliffe now has finished off his stop. Pagenaud will finish off in a little bit. Ryan Hunter Ray still staying out on the track, so no need for a pit stop at the moment. But will he pit at the end of the next lap? Yes, he will. Ryan Hunter Ray is pitting at the end of this lap for his scheduled stop, and up towards the banking now then we will go, on the racetrack. Confirmation that Simon Pagenaud has just been into the pits for Silicon Valley Racing. All the cars that came in are now fueled to the end of the race, as now we will approach the next corner on the track around the next banking. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Hunter-Reay is now a lap down now from Will Power, who is still continuing to lead the way at the moment in this race now. As they make their way down the straight and into the pits, then comes Ryan Hunter-Reay for E-Power now then. So into the pits comes the second place man, as the E-Power mechanics are right at the end of the pit lane now then for him, as he'll look to put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel now then. And let's see how quick this stop will be then for Ryan Hunter-Reay, as it looks like SIC are getting ready for one of their guys to come into the pits. Not quite sure whose it is, as now he wipes off the visor. And where is he going to emerge? As here is Fernando Alonso now then, as he puts a lap on James Hinchcliffe, who's just made a stop, trying to close back in onto Felix Rosenqvist if he can. Into the pits comes Takuma Sato, as Ryan Hunter-Reay as well also into the pits. We've just mentioned that, but he's being fueled now then to the end of the race, and Ryan Hunter-Reay finishes his pit stop, and let's see where he will emerge, as Will Power now they're just going around the bank. If so, in fact, did Ryan Hunter-Reay just come back into the pits? Now that I think of it, did Ryan Hunter-Reay sustain a problem, or did he just come back into the pits? Because I'm not sure. I thought he'd already just made a pit stop in this race, but I might be wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure he has just already pitted, unless he's just come into the pits again for a top up. But it looks like it might be a problem for Ryan Hunter-Reay. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll try and have a look if I can, and it didn't come up with anything, so this might have just been his pit stop and I was just being a little bit stupid, so I do apologise there, as Montoya is in for Red Rose Racing, so no changes there. Will Power still continuing to lead the way for Eldorado, as he rounds the banking now on the track, the first banking, and so he now just goes down the straight, and he'll soon come up towards the second banking. There is Simon Pagenaud being lapped by Gabby Chavez, but Chavez is still yet to make a stop. Meantime, Alonso tries to pull a lap again on James Hinchcliffe, who's having none of it at the moment. And so that's that for them really. Where is Ryan Hunter-Reay going to emerge then after this pit stop? He's going to come out in 9th position, so P9 then for Ryan Hunter-Reay in the E-Power car, as he now tries to build up the speed coming out of the pit lane now then, and now up towards the second bank we go. We just passed the 2 o'clock mark for anybody wondering, so we've just passed that mark now then, so we still have well, I think we're now on lap 70 or 71 now of the race. I'm not quite sure, because I'm trying to figure out whereabouts Will Power is on the track. There he is. We are on lap 71 now of the race, so we now have specifically 130 laps to go here at 130 laps to go here at Chicagoland Speedway, as soon we come down the straight, as Ryan Hunter-Reay now then we'll now soon approach the first banking onto the racetrack now then. Up towards the first banking we go, as into the pits comes Pietro Fittipaldi from Meccano Motorsport. So the Meccano of Pietro Fittipaldi is now into the pits, as is Robert Wickens for Adrenaline. So 2 cars into the pits at this time. As now then Pietro Fittipaldi. Now then also in is somebody else has come in behind him. Robert Wickens, Pietro Fittipaldi and JR Hildebrand. So the championship leader also into the pits at this time. So that's that for him. Here's Will Power still with 30.7 litres in the tank, as he looks to try and burn that before his one and only stop we presume he's having in this race. Up towards the banking now then we will go. So around this banking now then goes Will Power, as Fernando Alonso tries to chase down Felix Rosenqvist, who has yet to make a stop. In fact, both of them are still yet to make a pit stop now then in this race, as Rosenqvist now then will approach the first banking on the racetrack very soon. So around the banking now then we will go on the racetrack, as Felix Rosenqvist now then just goes around the banking now then. He will soon come down the straight, as Tony Kanaan for SIC is now into the pits for his scheduled stop. So Tony Kanaan in at this time, As there then is Fernando Alonso, as he's now starting to lose time now to Felix Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist starting to stretch the advantage a little bit between himself and Alonso. Kanaan in for his pit stop, and let's see where Tony Kanaan is going to end out once he makes his pit stop. As here is Ryan Hunter-Reay, as he still tries to ensure he can make his strategy work out. He's got to try and push hard now if he wants to get up to the back of Power once he makes a pit stop. Alonso into the pits. Kanaan finishes his pit stop. Both Rosenqvist or Alonso into the pits at this time for their scheduled stops, and let's see where they will emerge. And Alonso in the E-Power versus the Rosenqvist in the Red Rose racing car. The mechanics having to work hard to see who will be getting their man out in front at the moment. And so let's see then where Rosenqvist will emerge. As now, as you can see, Rosenqvist currently in third place at this stage. As you can see, Kanaan initially rejoins in 12th, but of course he is slow to get up to speed, of course, having come out of the pits. Gary Chavez now in for Makama Motorsport, so he's now into the pits. So Felix Rosenqvist finishes his stop, still in front of Fernando Alonso. So where is Rosenqvist going to emerge now then as he trundles down pit lane? And where is he going to rejoin? As he will now flick off the pit limiter. Rosenqvist is third, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's not going to be for long. As Alonso rejoins fourth on the road. Through goes Rahal now, then past the pair of them, but he's yet to make a stop. So Rosenqvist doesn't need to worry, nor does Fernando Alonso. There's James Hinchcliffe though, who will give him a worry. Hinchcliffe has got by on Alonso and has now got through on Rosenqvist, so he gains those places back. As his teammate, as mentioned, Graham Rahal, is coming into the pits this lap, as they will now make their way around the banking, and we will see Rahal come in, which he does. So into the pits then comes Graham Rahal from third place. And where is he going to rejoin then after this pit stop? So into the pit box then goes Graham Rahal now then. As we now look at Will Power, he's just going around the banking. And he's still continuing to lead the way at the moment as he looks to try and get his and Eldorado's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. In the background there, look, is James Hinchcliffe, who is a lap down from him at the moment. But remember, Will Power, we believe, is third to make his pit stop in this race, judging from the fuel load he is carrying on his steering wheel. And now heading down towards the pit straight, he'll soon go on the racetrack. I'm sorry if you can hear me yawning sometimes. Like I said, I've been up since 6 o'clock to watch the Japanese Grand Prix, and I'm very tired at the moment. But I will prevail. As coming out of the pit lane comes Juan Martinez. That would be Graham Rahal, who's just made a pit stop because he was up in third, and it did come up with a pit lane indicator on the bottom right of his screen. So I would presume that is Rahal who's coming to the pits for his scheduled stop. As we look at Power now then on the track, Hinchcliffe goes through, so does Pagenaud. Rahal again being a lap down from these guys. Through goes Rosenqvist as Fittipaldi, unseen by the cameras, has got by ahead of Alonso. So unseen by the cameras, Fittipaldi is up into 6th place at the moment in this race. As Ryan Hunter-Reay is now back up into 2nd place now then in this race. As he now makes his way into the banking as he tries to see if he can gain as much time as possible to Will Power in this race. And so obviously the strategy came unaware really to all of us. And Power on a one-stop, it seems, as he'll look to try and get his and Eldorado Indy's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. Ryan Hunter-Reay around the banking, he will now go. As we now look at Will Power, he's got around 25 litres left in the tank, so around about lap within the next 23 laps, I would say. So that would take it then to lap 101. We should see Will Power making his pit stop now. Then he's one and only stop of the race. And so he put around about 101 litres in the tank to ensure he gets to the end of the race. And so now heading down the straight as Will Power now then just goes up towards the first banking on the track as he continues to build a lead out in front of the moment, and all things looking good for Eldorado at this stage of the race. But anything can happen in racing, and it usually does, and we've still got quite a long way to go yet before we can draw into any form of conclusion at this stage of the race, as Power now then approaches the next banking very soon on the racetrack, and Power still leading the way at the moment as we now look at Pietro Fittipaldi in the Mercamo Motorsport car. Up towards the banking now then we will go, as Fittipaldi still trying to put some pressure on Rosenqvist in front, so these two look like they're going to be duking it out for 5th place now then in the race, as they will soon come down the straight. So heading down the straight now then we go on the racetrack, heading down the straight. Will Fittipaldi get the move done now then on Felix Rosenqvist as he will now approach the first banking? It doesn't look like that Fittipaldi is close enough at this stage, so he's just going to hang back for the moment and just remain behind. Round this banking we go, as Fittipaldi still trying to get hold of Hinchcliffe at this stage of the race as they will come down the straight. Fittipaldi now then, will he pull off a move on Felix Rosenqvist at this point? I think he's just a little bit too far back to challenge at this stage of the race. And so now around the corner we go then on the racetrack, and Fittipaldi now then still trying to get hold of Rosenqvist in front. And so now Fittipaldi now then starting to attack the Swede at this stage of the race. They've all made a pit stop apart from Will Power that we've pointed out, so it's pretty much now a run to the finish for these guys. No one is expected to do the free stop in this race except for Graham Rahal, of course, who's just done it because obviously he had his mechanical problems earlier on in the race. As now up towards the second banking now then we will go on the track, and will Fittipaldi find a way through on Rosenqvist this time around as we ride on board. Fittipaldi is now right in the slipstream of Felix Rosenqvist. Will he pull the move off on Felix now then? He's going to look to the inside. Will he pull the move off? Down the inside then goes Pietro Fittipaldi. Is that going to be the position? Side by side go the pair of them now then into the second banking. We go on the racetrack. Is it going to be P5 for Pietro Fittipaldi? And yes it is. Up into 5th place goes the grandson of 2-time Formula 1 world champion Emerson Fittipaldi. It's Pietro now then that gets up into 5th place, but Rosenqvist looks like he's not finishing yet. He's going to look to the inside. Will Felix Rosenqvist get the move back off Pietro Fittipaldi in towards the first banking now then we go, and yes he does. Up into 5th place, back up to 5th I should say, goes Felix Rosenqvist in the Red Rose racing car now then. Around the banking now then we go on the racetrack as Fittipaldi tries to get back on prowl with trying to think actually with Felix Rosenqvist. Sorry about that. As now up towards the next banking we go. Fittipaldi just a little bit too far back to challenge at the moment in this race, so he's just going to hang back for the moment as we now look at race leader Will Power in the Eldorado Indy, as we will now look and see his fuel load now then at this stage. It's down to 21.7 litres, so still a long way to go before Will Power makes his pit stop. And now up towards the first banking we go, as we will soon come down the straight now then on the racetrack. Heading down the straight now then before approaching the second turn. So into the second turn now then we go on the racetrack now then as we ride on board with Will Power in the Eldorado, as they will soon go side by side with each other now then. As now around this banking we go, as going around the corner now then we go on the racetrack now then. Power starts another lap being lap 84 of 200 now then, so specifically we now have 100 and trying to think off the top of my head, we now have 117 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway in Joviet, Illinois, and we've still got a long way to go yet, as we're now at the 2:30 mark. Hopefully it doesn't go to 3 hours like Talladega did last weekend, but you never know, of course, with these sorts of things. And remember, of course, Will Power still yet to make that pit stop at the moment, but all things looking good. It looks like his strategy could work out to perfection now then, as he makes his way around the second banking now then for the 84th time today, as he starts another lap, as he continues to try and build that lead up as much as possible. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the man who's trying to attack him at the moment, still quite a bit behind him at this stage of the race, as they go around the corner now then on the track, heading down the straight, as Ryan Hunter-Reay continues to try and gain onto the gap from Will Power at this stage. And around the next banking now, then we will soon go on the racetrack. Will Power still leading the way from Ryan Hunter-Reay in second. James Hinchcliffe is in third place at this stage of the race. It's fourth for Simon Pagenaud, fifth for Felix Rosenquist, sixth for Pietro Fittipaldi, seventh is Fernando Alonso, eighth Marco Andretti, ninth teammate Robert Wickens, Graham Rahal in 16th, 10th Max Chilton, 11th Gary Chavez, 12th championship leader J.R. Hildebrand, 13th Juan Pablo Montoya, 14th for Tony Kanaan, 15th for Takuma Sato. 16 cars still left in the race. 6 cars obviously retired earlier on in the race. There was retirements being Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, Sebastian Bourdais. Who else joined them on that list as well? Helio Castroneves as well. And we also had the retirements from both Target Andy Graham racing cars of Ed Jones and Joseph Newgarden. They were the retirements of the race so far. So no points for EMR and no points for Target Andy Graham Racing. And so it's game over for them as far as they are concerned. So it looks like E-Power, in fact, and of course Eldorado looking like, well, apart from Will Power's perspective at least, looking like they're going to gain a little bit to Silicon Valley Racing in the team's championship. In terms of the drivers, I'm not sure at the moment. I don't know if J.R. Hildebrand will still lead the championship if it stays like this, but we will wait and see. I think Alonso, in fact, could have an opportunity. Given where he is at the moment, to or in fact maybe Simon Pagenaud. In fact, Simon Pagenaud could have a chance of possibly leading the Drivers' Championship, but we will wait and see. Alonso will also, I think, take a chunk. He looks like he could move up to third place in the Drivers' Championship if it remains like this at the moment. In terms of the Teams' Championship, I think we'll have to wait and see on that one, but I think it will be quite nip and tuck. For that part of the championship. I think Chevrolet will cut a little bit on Honda's lead in the Manufacturers' Championship, but we'll wait and see on that. It is quite a close championship it's shaping up to be in the manufacturers between Honda and Chevrolet this season, it must be said. Chevrolet, as we mentioned back at the beginning of the season, have turned a huge corner in their terms of brake horsepower, because last season there you could tell the deficit between Honda and Chevrolet was quite significant, but now it seems that Chevrolet has caught up a little bit. Although Honda looks to still have a little bit of pace around the oval tracks, Chevrolet are a lot more close, as you can see with this, with Will Power leading the way, so it's not completely over. At the moment, it looks like Chevrolet now can be a match to Honda, it seems, and definitely the Eldorado of Will Power trying to take full advantage as he continues to lead the way and looks to try and get his and Eldorado Indy's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. And now Power just goes around the second banking on the racetrack. Now then, what is the how many litres has he got left? He's got 16.6 litres left, so in around about in fact, he is a lap down now. He is a lap in front of Ryan Hunter-Reay. I do apologise. So Will Power is on his own at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if once he makes his stop, Ryan Hunter-Reay will lap himself. But I think the main question will be how much time can Ryan Hunter-Reay gain once Will Power makes that pit stop, because Power's not really getting onto Hunter-Reay to try and lapping him again for a second time, and that will probably seal the race as a result. So that's that really. We're now on lap 89 of 200 then here at the Chicagoland Speedway. So we have 112 laps remaining here at Joviet, Illinois. As Power now then makes his way around the banking now then on the track. As now he will come down towards the start finish straight now then on the racetrack. Will Power still leading the way. And thankfully I'm not feeling that tired anymore now then. Just had to stretch myself out a little bit and stretch my eyes as well. And there we are really, so just cleared that tiredness now then. Hopefully I'm not going to feel like that again towards this race. But now up towards the first banking now then goes Will Power again as he starts lap 90 of 200 now then here at Chicagoland, Illinois. So we're now just 11 laps away from the lap 100 mark in this race. And there he's Ryan Hunter-Reay still trying to get onto him. Luckily for him, Power's not really getting onto him to try and lap him for a second time in this race, as Power is a lap down according to the steering wheel of Will Power, and it probably would be the same on Ryan Hunter-Reay's car to measure to the car in front. As now he goes into the first banking very soon then on the track. Around the banking we go, as he will try and gain as much time as possible in the E-Power now then, as he just comes out of the turn. Now they're heading down towards the next banking we soon go, as Ryan Hunter-Reay currently in second place at the moment, as Pagenaud tries to get onto Hinchcliffe, but at the moment he's a little bit too far back. Meantime, Fittipaldi is back on the prowl though. Felix Rosenquist, a pair of them are also starting to gain a little bit onto Simon Pagenaud, so those three could actually start to gain a little bit onto him at the moment, as they will now make their way in towards the next banking very soon on the racetrack. Around the banking we go. Fittipaldi still quite a bit back to try and get hold of Rosenquist at this stage. He'll try and get onto the slipstream of him as soon as they come off the exit of this second banking now then, as he'll come down the straight. Will Fittipaldi try and go for a run on Felix Rosenquist. He's going to try and get hold of the slipstream. He's got some good slipstream. Will it be P5 now then for Pietro Fittipaldi? He's in the slipstream of Felix Rosenquist. Is he going to be close enough to pull a move off? And no, he's not. He's going to have to wait for the next banking perhaps to try and get onto him. But look how close he's now getting to the back of the Swede now then in the Red Rose Racing car. Coming off the first banking now, then we go as now Fittipaldi looks to the outside of Felix Rosenquist. Can he grab P5 on the Swede as they go side by side down this back straight? Will it be P5 now then for Pietro Fittipaldi side by side? And yes, it is. Up into 5th place goes Fittipaldi in the Macamo car. He gets in front of Rosenquist, and that's P5 from the grandson of two-time Formula 1 world champion Emerson Fittipaldi. Around the second banking we go, as they will now go down the straight. Will Rosenquist try and get Fittipaldi back if he can, heading down the straight before approaching the first banking very soon on the racetrack. And now heading down this straight up towards the first banking now, then we will go on the racetrack now then. And it looks like Rosenquist just a little bit too far back to challenge at the moment, as he just goes around the corner. Looks like Fittipaldi now starts to stretch the advantage, as he will now try and get on to 4th place man Simon Pagenaud in the Silicon Valley Racing car now then, as we now look at Will Power just going around the banking now then, as he will soon start lap 94 of the race, and around about 10 laps no, sorry, not 10 laps time, I do apologise, in around about 8 laps time we should see him come into the pits. We start lap 94 now of 200 in Chicagoland Speedway, so we now have specifically trying to work it out in my head, we now have specifically 7 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway. Sorry, 107 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway, not 7 laps, I do apologise. It's 7 laps though away from the lap 100 mark. So up towards then the second banking then will go Will Power, as now he just sweeps around these section of corners out in on the racetrack. So Power will soon be coming into the pits in the next few laps or so, and in fact he comes in now then. He's going to call it early, so Will Power into the pits then for his one and only stop. Now let's see how much Hunter Ray can gain, as Will Power is in for a lengthy pit stop now then, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and quite a lot of fuel to get himself to the end of the race now then. It is a one stop, because if you can tell by the fuel load there, look, it says 15.8 because it doesn't give us a third digit, but that would be roughly around about 115 litres if I'm correct that he's got in the back of that car now. So it should get him now then to the end of the race. As where is Ryan Hunter-Reay on the racetrack now then? He's just coming up now then towards the second banking. He has now then got to unlap himself still, and so we'll see how much he'll gain once Will Power comes out of his box. Remember, Power still needs to pick up the speed once he comes out of the pit lane. Power has finished his pit stop, as now Ryan Hunter-Reay is only just going past him now then to go up into the first banking, and so he's not quite got out of the pit lane yet. Will Power now then flicks off the pit limiter. Remember, still got to build up the speed, and let's see if Ryan Hunter-Reay can still take advantage as he now comes down this straight, and then we'll get an indication of how much time Ryan Hunter-Reay needs to get within the remainder of this race now then, as they will soon approach the second half of the race here at Chicagoland Speedway. Around the banking now then goes Ryan Hunter-Reay, and let's see then, Will Power still trying to build up the speed as everybody tries to unlap themselves. And Power now then looks like he must have now, has he started to build up the speed, or is he still trying to gain this speed back because he's still being unlapped at the moment? As Ryan Hunter-Reay now then going around the banking, and will it give us the gap this time by as he just goes around the corner? No, not yet. It's still not giving us who's in front at this stage, so we'll keep an eye on Ryan Hunter-Reay at the moment. And now up towards the second banking now then we go on the racetrack, so we'll just go around the section of corners, and let's see then the gap between Power and Hunter-Reay now then. Let's see if we can get an indication this time by heading down the straight, and let's see then what the gap is going to be like now then. And the gap as we start lap 96 of the race now then. It's going to be lap 97, I think, once Power crosses the line, and the gap down to 25.3 seconds. So that's that at this stage. Power has now built up the speed and now starts lap 97 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway, as he makes his way up towards the first banking. We are 5 minutes away now then from the 2:30 mark, for anybody wondering, as now Power is fueled to the end of the race and can start getting his foot down and trying to see if he can try and transfer this into his and Eldorado Indy's first ever IFMC IndyCar win, as he's still got some traffic surrounding him at this stage of the race, as it looks like RE Central decided to go a little bit backwards there, but it's now fast forwarded itself, thankfully. As now into the banking now, then we will go on the track, as now just going around the second banking on the racetrack. As we look at Ryan Hunter-Reay now, they're still trying to gain. 25.6 is the gap. I don't know if their Power had increased the gap that time by just a little bit, but he's still got traffic surrounding him, so it could outrun Hunter-Reay in a way, but we'll wait and see on that, as he now goes into the second banking on the racetrack now then, and he'll have to hope for a little bit of luck if he wants to win this race at this stage, just judging from the gap between him and Power, as Power will soon start lap 99 very soon. But what's the gap between Hunter-Reay and Power now then, heading into the first banking on the racetrack? And let's see now then, up towards the first banking, we will soon go on the racetrack. Around we go, and it's 25.6 still, so they're both lapping around about the same pace as each other now then at this stage. Lap 99, so one lap away from the lap 100 mark here at Chicagoland Speedway, and then we'll be getting into the second half of this race at long last. So round the first banking we go, heading down the straight now then before approaching the second banking very soon, and the Power still continuing to lead the way as we ride on board with the Aussie now then. So now he approaches the second banking on the racetrack. Around the banking he goes, and Will Power now then just going around this banking on the racetrack, as he will now start lap 100 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway. We're now at the lap 100 mark of the race, just a confirmation, and yes, we're now on lap 100 now then of 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway, up towards the left-hander now on the track. As now they just go around these section of corners now on the racetrack, as we look at Ryan Hunter-Reay just going around the corner, as they now make their way down the straight. Hunter-Reay, what's the gap between him and Will Power at this stage, as they will now come up towards the first banking on the racetrack, and the gap being now 25.7. So in fact Power is starting to increase the gap a little bit between himself and Ryan Hunter-Reay, so he's starting to stretch his advantage, and in front Ryan Hunter-Reay just hasn't got an answer to his pace here at Chicagoland Speedway, and clearly so far it's all falling into place for Will Power to take his and the team's and Eldorado Indy's first ever IFMC IndyCar win. But still, there's 100 laps remaining as he's on lap 101. Still a long way to go in this second half of the race. And who knows, really, anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. So now Hunter-Reay comes down the straight, and now into the first banking now then we will go. And so now, as you can see, Ryan Hunter-Reay, as they will come down the straight now on the track, this back straight now then, and as he continues to lose some more time to these guys, so we try and find Will Power. There he is, still trying to lap the guys in front of him at the moment, still not quite into the slipstream yet of Simon Pagenaud's Silicon Valley racing car, and this could actually put Power back into the frame of the Drivers' Championship, but we'll wait and see on that. Around we go now then. Power now is still leading the way at the moment, as unseen by the cameras. Rosenquist has actually got back in front of Fittipaldi, so he gets himself back up into 5th place now in this race. As now going down the straight we go, as Power starts another lap. That will be lap 103 of 200 then. That will be 98 laps to go in this race, as now Ryan Hunter-Reay currently second. And now into the second banking we will soon go on the racetrack, and Ryan Hunter-Reay through he goes then, as he tries everything. He's not giving up yet. There's still quite a long way to go. And if it could still happen in this race. So Ryan Hunter-Reay now then just goes down the straight. And let's see then what the gap is going to stand like at the moment. Let's see if Power has stretched the gap or possibly cut the gap up towards the first banking now. Then we will go on the racetrack, and it's 25.7. So both of them again starting to lap around about the same pace as each other at this stage of the race. So now we try and get to Will Power. Or in fact, this battle, in fact, Power looks like he could get unlapped here very soon because he is on quite a heavy fuel load, and looks like Fittipaldi is going to unlap himself at the expense of the race leader now then. So he's going to go around the outside of Will Power. Can he pull the move off to perfection? And the answer to that is yes, he will. So Power not putting up a fight as he now approaches the next banking. In fact, of course, he has got well, both of them have got the same amount of fuel, of course, but Power has not been on this strategy for quite long at the moment. Still quite cold tyres, it must be said, at this stage. Everybody else is up to optimal temperature. As now down the straight we go. As we will now try and look and see if in fact now he's cut down to 98.8. So he's now started to get that fuel load starting to be a bit reduced now at this stage. In fact, another one decides to unlap himself at this stage. And I want to know, does the fuel actually come down after 14 litres? That's what I want to know. Let's have a look now then, as they will come down this straight, as everybody's starting to get the 99.6 bug. Not in a way that it's glitchy, I'm just saying just 99.4. That's kind of the number they go with now. Then there's Power again looking to be unlapped, and in fact he might have given Fittipaldi a bit of a hand, because Fittipaldi's now back up to 5th in front of Rosenquist as Power puts another lap on him at the moment. As we look at Ryan Hunter-Reay, with Power being on lap, this could really help him out in trying to close him down at this stage of the race as he makes his way around the first banking, as it's now down to 25.3. So he's actually cut 4 tenths out of Power's lead from the last time we checked. So Hunter-Reay will look to try and take full advantage of that if he can. As now we go down the straight, heading into the next banking. We will soon go on the racetrack. Hunter-Reay really not giving up at this stage. Around the second banking he goes. And so around the second banking, heading down the straight now. Then we will go on the racetrack. As they will now head down the straight. And Ryan Hunter-Reay now then. Let's see the gap between him and Power at the moment now then. As Power will soon start lap 107 of 200 in this race, so we'll have specifically 94 laps to go here at Chicagoland. In fact, Power's pulled away again. He has increased the gap by 3 tenths to get it up to 25.6 seconds between Power and Hunter-Reay. Between himself and Hunter-Reay, I should say. As now into the second banking, we will soon go on the racetrack. As Fittipaldi now then looks like Power is starting to get up to temperatures now, as he will now start to put laps on these guys. First off, he's now going to pick off Emerson Fittipaldi, who gets out of the way of him there then. So Power now starting to pick up the pace, as right now he is looking very dominant at the moment here in this race, clearly making the one-stop work out to absolute perfection. No wonder he was all the way down in 14th at the beginning of the race. He had a heavy fuel load weighing him down. As now coming around a turn now, then we go. So now he will try and come up now then to Simon Pagenaud to pull a lap on him at this stage. Up towards the first banking now then. We will soon go on the racetrack around the banking. And so around this banking we go now then, as they'll soon come down the straight. As now then just heading out of the first banking. Power trying to get up close to the back of Pagenaud to see if he can try and pull a lap on the Frenchman, but so far not close enough to the back of him at this stage. So now around these section of corners he goes. He's getting closer, in fact, to the back of him. Now then getting closer, you see there, you can just tell the car in front was getting closer to the vision from the T-cam there then. Power will soon try and pull a lap now then on Simon Pagenaud as he continues to lead the way out in front of this stage. So heading down the straight we go now then up towards the first banking on the track. And so now up towards the first banking. So Power now then continues to lead the way. Here is Ryan Hunter-Reay to get an indication of how quick Power is going. We'll have a look at the gap between himself and Ryan Hunter-Reay at the moment. as Hunter Ray makes his way out of the second banking. Heading down the straight we go. And let's see now then, what is the gap between Will Power and Ryan Hunter-Ray, as Will Power will start lap 110 very soon, which will be 91 laps to go, and the gap between them is 26.1. So in fact Hunter-Ray has gained a little bit more. From the last time we checked, he's now cut it by 0.5 of a second, so it's now down. In fact, no, I do apologise, in fact it's increased, it's 26.1, isn't it? So in fact he's not actually cut the gap. Power is still increasing it by 0.4 of a second. No, it's not 0.4, 0.5 of a second. So he's definitely pushing hard. Well, Power is. If he's got enough pace, he could lap the entire field with his one-stop strategy. And well, I don't think we've ever seen that before in the whole history of IFMC IndyCar, or even in IFMC in general. So that's that really. As Hunter will try and continue to try and put some pressure on if he can now. Then as he will approach the first banking very soon now. Then here is Will Power, still not been able to lap Simon Pagenaud at the moment. He's currently in 4th place. So now we have 90 laps remaining then for Will Power, as now he goes around the first banking and he continues to try and push as hard as he can in this race. Round the first banking he goes. Still not up to Pagenaud at the moment to try and lap him at this stage, possibly because Pagenaud is busy trying to chase down the man in front of him for 3rd place, which is James Hinchcliffe in the Martini Inertia. So what you see, James Hinchcliffe could even get himself back in the hunt after a disastrous race at Talladega last weekend. So that's that for him really. Heading down the straight now, they will soon go on the racetrack. So now up towards the first banking now, then we go. As Power now then continues to lead the way, as Fittipaldi and Rosenqvist look to resume their battle. In fact, will Fittipaldi actually try and unlock himself at the expense of Will Power? That's what I want to know. He's a little bit too far back at this point, but it seems that he's starting to close in on him again, and could use him as a bit of a boost to try and get away from Felix Rosenqvist. As Marco Andretti now is starting to close up on those two, so it could become a big scrap now for 6th place between those guys. Alonso down in 9th. He's lost a lot of time after the second round of pit stops, so he's way down in 9th position with his teammate up in 2nd. But it looks like at the moment, I'm not going to try and jinx them, but at the moment it looks like both cars will finally make it to the checkered flag, whereas so far this season only one e-Power car has got to the checkered flag in this season, of course, and they're looking to try and get 2, which will really help them out in the team's championship if they try and gain onto Eldorado and Silicon Valley Racing. Now up towards the second banking, we will soon go now down the track. Around that banking we go, as they will soon come down the straight. As now heading down the straight now, then we go, as Ryan Hunter-Ray, let's see the gap then between him and Will Power at this point now. Then around the first banking, as he is 26.1, so they're both lapping around about the same pace as each other now. So it's still the same gap as what it was when we last checked up on Ryan Hunter-Ray at the moment, as he's looking very lonely at the moment in 2nd place in this race. As now he just goes around this next banking on the track, and now just going around the second banking, heading down the straight, as he's just too far back at the moment to get a hold of Will Power's Eldorado. As now we go down the straight now on the racetrack, and as you can see, we just go around this banking now. There's Fittipaldi's unlapped himself at the expense of Will Power again, and in fact it's now brought Fittipaldi a tad bit closer now to the back of Simon Pagenaud. So these two look like they're going to be scrapping it out for 4th place. That could help out Ryan Hunter-Ray a little bit, including a little bit of the gap between himself and Will Power. Around the banking we go. Fittipaldi now in trying to chase down Pagenaud for 4th place if he can. Try and help out his championship in a way if he can. Heading down straight now, then he's not close enough to get hold of him at the moment. In fact, he's actually going to get out of the way again for Will Power. He's been told to let him through again. And well, there we go then. So Power gets himself back in front. So he tries to lap Simon Pagenaud in front of him at the moment. So around this banking now, then we will go on the racetrack. And now heading down the straight. And as you can see, Power now getting close now to the back of Simon Pagenaud. We're now on lap 116 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway, and specifically we now have 85 laps to go here in Illinois. And let's see then, well, we need to see what the gap is like actually between Ryan Hunter-Reay and Will Power, and it looks like at this occasion we actually missed it, so I do apologise for that, but he's actually coming across the line right now then. So let's have a look at the gap this time by, heading down the pit straight, and the gap between Power and Hunter-Reay is now, let's have a look, up towards the first banking now then. We will go on the racetrack, and it is 26.3, so Power's actually opened the gap up again by another 2/10 to get it up to 26.3 seconds. So Hunter-Reay at this point probably just settling down, it seems, and just only going to take advantage if something happens to Power at the moment, because I just don't think he's just got the pace to match him at the moment at this stage. And all smiles at the moment, the Eldorado camp, but there's still quite a long way to go yet. Anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. Let's see if it's changed this time by between the pair of them. Up towards the first banking now then. We'll go on the racetrack around this first banking, and it's still 26.3, so both again lapping around about the same pace as each other on that lap alone. Fittipaldi again looking like he's on lap himself. I wonder if Power is actually using Fittipaldi as a little bit of a decoy, in fact, to try and get him up to the back of Pagenaud, and Fittipaldi could also use Power as a bit of a decoy in order to try and get fourth if he can. So that would be that, really. I wonder if that's probably in his plan. But well, here we go again. Look, Fittipaldi again now going to unlap himself at the expense of Will Power. Fittipaldi will try and use the momentum to try and gain a little bit now then onto fourth place man Simon Pagenaud, and he gets through there. So Power possibly using Fittipaldi as a bit of a decoy to try and lap Pagenaud, and for Fittipaldi to try and pass Pagenaud for fourth place. Coming out of the final turn, that was a bit of an awkward corner there then, an awkward line for Fittipaldi. Power again using his slipstream, trying to see if he can get up closer now then to the back of Pagenaud, just trying to take the momentum with him. As now up towards the first banking now, then we will go on the racetrack, and he is getting closer now to the back of Simon Pagenaud, so clearly being behind Fittipaldi has definitely worked out, as now he will try and put a lap on him now. Then in fact Fittipaldi will unlap himself at the expense of Power again, just to make sure, as he's now getting closer now to the back of Simon Pagenaud, so we could have an almighty scrap now then for fourth place between these two, thanks to the help of race leader Will Power. Will Power can afford this, of course, because he has got a big lead in front of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Around the banking we go. Fittipaldi again with quite an awkward corner coming out of the second banking, as he now tries to get within the slipstream now then of Simon Pagenaud. He's right in the slipstream. Can he get fourth place from the Frenchman now then, as he will come up now then towards the first banking? Fittipaldi now then trying to see if he can find a way through, as they all go around the first banking. Fittipaldi can sense an opportunity to try and get by on Simon Pagenaud. Can he get fourth place from the Frenchman now then? Just going around the corner now then. Fittipaldi in the slipstream of Simon Pagenaud. He's going to look to the inside. Can he grab fourth place from the Frenchman as they go side by side with each other now then into the second banking? Can Fittipaldi get the move done on Simon Pagenaud down the inside? And yes, he can. Up into fourth place goes Pietro Fittipaldi. That's P4 now then for the Brazilian. Up into fourth place now goes Pietro. Next target for him, if he's able to, is James Hinchcliffe, but he's still got to fend off a little bit from Simon Pagenaud. All this could allow Power to close on the pair of them and put a lap on them as a result, as they will continue to go side by side with each other now then into the first banking. Will Pagenaud again have the edge? Yes, he does. He holds up. He gets back up into fourth place again in front of Pietro Fittipaldi. Around the banking we go. Will Pietro though still try and get back onto the prowl of him now then, heading down this straight? Pietro Fittipaldi now then heading down this straight, as he's now right in the slipstream of Pagenaud. He'll try and look to the inside if he can. He tried to have a go, but Pagenaud was just about to shut the door there into that corner, as that's that really as far as they're concerned. Hinchcliffe could even start to fall back into this group as well, so we could have an almighty scrap for third. Fittipaldi again on the inside of Pagenaud. Can he grab fourth place from him again? Yes, he can. Back up to fourth place goes Pietro Fittipaldi in the Macamo car now, then up towards the first banking. We will now go on the track. He's a little bit too far back to challenge. Power's still quite a bit behind to try and lap these guys. Around the corner we go. Pagenaud still right in the slipstream now then off Pietro now then on the track, as Pagenaud again looks the inside of Pietro Fittipaldi, as he'll go side by side with each other now then side by side with each other in towards the second bank, and we go as Fittipaldi again will try and look to the inside of Simon Pagenaud now. Then again, Pagenaud retook fourth, but Fittipaldi finds a gap on the inside. Can he grab fourth again from the mayor of Hinchtown? Side by side they go. Down this pitch straight we go, possibly using each other as well to get up close to the back of James Hinchcliffe in front. Side by side go the pair of them now then, up towards the first banking. Down the inside again goes Fittipaldi, and that's P4 for the Brazilian. Up to fourth again goes Pietro Fittipaldi in the Macamo car now then. As again, he'll try and get up to the back of Hinchcliffe. It's been an amazing comeback, in fact, from Pietro Fittipaldi after qualifying last yesterday. A big comeback from Fittipaldi as he's now up into fourth place, but Pagenaud trying to look around the outside of him again into the second banking, I should say. Side by side go the pair of them now then, heading down the straight. Can he try and get them done? No, not quite, as he will soon go down the straight now then on the track, heading in towards the first banking now then on the racetrack. Into turn one we go, and Pagenaud again will look to the inside of Pietro Fittipaldi, and can he retake fourth? Yes, he can. Back up to fourth place goes Simon Pagenaud in the Silicon Valley racing car, as they will now come down the straight. As Pagenaud now then will come up now then towards the next banking on the track now then. Around this banking now then we will go, as Pagenaud still tries to chase down Hinchcliffe in front of him at the moment. Power still trying to lap these guys at the moment, and I wonder how that will affect as Pagenaud now stretches his advantage in front of Fittipaldi again as he tries to gain onto Hinchcliffe in front, as it's 26.5 seconds the gap between Power and Hunter Ray. So even despite that traffic in front of Power, Hunter Ray still hasn't taken full advantage and is still continuing to lose time to him at the moment. We're now on lap 125 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway. So specifically, we now have 76 laps to go here in Joviet, Illinois. 76 laps remaining. Anything can happen in racing, it usually does, and still quite a long way to go yet, as Hunter Ray still not giving up, looking quite lonely, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier on the part of the track that he is currently in second place, but just nowhere near Will Power at the moment. Clearly possibly wishing he was on the one-stop strategy as well, and I bet most of the pack also feel that way as well, because Power was the only one that went with that strategy, and it's worked out for him to be in the lead of the race by a comfortable 26.5 seconds in front of Ryan Hunter Ray, and that's nearly a lap, I should point out as well, as of course lap times yesterday were in around about the 31-second mark. So that's that really, as now coming around the turn, as we'll have a look and see the gap this time by and see if anything has changed between Power and Ryan Hunter Ray, as they just come across the line now then up towards now then the first banking now then around the turn, and it's actually been cut down again to 26.5 seconds. So that's not really, in fact, sorry, it stayed at 26.5 seconds. I do apologise, as excuse me, Power still kind of conjoined in this traffic that he's currently in at this stage. Around the first banking we will go, as they will now make their way down this straight. Now they're on the racetrack heading up towards the second banking. We will soon go on the racetrack, and so now up towards the second banking now then we will go, and so now around the corner. So now heading down this straight, Ryan Hunter Ray currently now then in second place up towards the first banking, and Ryan Hunter Ray now then just going around that turn, currently still leading the way. Sorry, still in second place. Power still leading the way at the moment, as he's on lap 128 now. Will Power is out of 200, so specifically 73 laps to go here at Chicagoland Speedway. We are 11 minutes away from the 3 o'clock mark, for anybody wondering, so we're getting close to that point. And although this race has been quite stretchy, it's not been as long as Talladega Super Speedway, thankfully. So that's that really. It's still trying to investigate it at the moment and see if it can return next year or whether it shouldn't, as we had a bit of a fast forward moment there for RE Central now, as it looked like it went a little bit backwards, but then just fast forwarded on itself there, so I do apologise as we now come down the straight. As Ryan Hunter-Reay still very lonely around at the moment, as not really much is happening within the field at this stage. Pagenaud still not up to Hinchcliffe, Fittipaldi still not up, as in fact Power is actually starting to get unlapped again. He's got an engine problem! Will Power has got a problem! Oh no, what a shame! Eldorado was looking good for their first ever victory. The one-stop strategy was coming into play, and an engine failure has taken care of race leader Will Power. I think it's going to be too terminal for him to come back to the pit, but we'll wait and see anyway if he can get that somehow repaired. But either way, Will Power is out of the race, I think, and he's past the pit lane, so it's too terminal. Will Power, the race leader, the race win was right there in his grasp. He had a big 26.5 second lead. It's now gone down the toilet. Will Power is going to be out of the race and will be down to 15 runners. What a shame. Power was looking good for the victory and to get himself back in the championship fight, but that's all going to come to nothing, and Robert Ionescu cannot believe it. His heart has possibly been ripped out inside of him, and the first Eldorado Indy victory will have to wait. But it's now looking all good for E-Power now to take their first ever victory, because Ryan Hunter-Reay is now going to be leading the race here at Chicagoland Speedway. This is exactly what E-Power wanted, as the engine has now died out, I think, for Eldorado. I could be 100% wrong, but it does sound a little quiet now, and Power's race is going to be over as the smoke continues to pour out the back of his Chevrolet engine, as Power now then will find himself out of the race now then. And whereabouts is Ryan Hunter-Reay on the track? Through goes J.R. Hildebrand, the championship leader at the moment. So that now puts James Hinchcliffe now onto the podium. Simon Pagenaud up to second. Pietro Fittipaldi fourth, sorry. And now fifth place will go to Felix Rosenquist. And the car is still going, surprisingly enough. I'm very surprised about that. But where is Ryan Hunter-Reay? He's coming up to where Power, and he's going to see it himself. And I bet the team will tell him that Power is out. You are leading the race. And I think that's now game over, I think, because Power going quite slowly now, trying to pull off the track, but got traffic on the left of him now. Then Sato goes through. Soon will come Kanan. And it's still going at the moment, surprisingly. He's on his Chevrolet engine, but now it has given up the ghost, I think. It is going very quiet. He's putting off right to the side of the track, and Will Power is going to be out of the race. We'll be down to 15 runners. Where is Ryan Hunter-Reay? And you'll probably see him in just a little bit. He will see that Eldorado on the right hand side with a blown engine, and he'll know that he will be leading the race. And there he goes. There is the new race leader. Ryan Hunter-Reay now leads the race, and Will Power, with the opportunity to win the race, is out. His Robert Ionescu, the team boss of Eldorado Indy's heart, has been ripped out of him. Will Power out, and we're down to 15 runners. Up into second goes Simon Pagenaud. Up into third goes James Hinchcliffe in the Martini Inertia. But Ryan Hunter-Reay now finds himself leading the race, and Power's car has come to a dead stop. And what a shame. What could have been for the Aussie, and what could have been for the Romanian team. And, well, that's the end of that. They're going to actually hoist the car across the track, as he's quite close to the pit lane anyway. So that will be that really as far as they are concerned. And across the track then they go, and that's his race over. And here is the new race leader now then, Ryan Hunter-Reay, with now quite a comfortable lead in front of James Hinchcliffe at the moment. What is the gap between the top two at this stage now? Then there's one lap 133 of 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway. So specifically we now have 68 laps remaining, 9.7 I think that said the gap was between them. We'll just double check that as Hinchcliffe comes around, and yes it is 9.7 seconds the gap between Hunter-Reay and Hinchcliffe. In fact, where's Pagenaud's down to fourth. Pagenaud has dropped places, so unseen by the cameras, while all that was kicking off with Power, Hinchcliffe and Pagenaud had got up to second and third respectively. So Hinchcliffe up to second and Fittipaldi up into third place. So I should say that, in fact, Hinchcliffe was already in front of him. In fact, it's actually Pagenaud that's lost the place, because Fittipaldi is now up into third place. So he's now onto the podium, as he'll now try and chase down Hinchcliffe for second place if he can. Fittipaldi on a great comeback after qualifying last on the grid yesterday. It's been a great comeback for him as far as he is concerned, as they will now come up now then towards the first banking on the racetrack. Now then, up towards the first banking we go. And around we go now then on the track, as it will soon come down the straight now then on the track. And that's that really as far as they are concerned. And so that's that really as they now come down this back straight now then. Still Fittipaldi quite a bit behind Hinchcliffe at the moment now then. As meantime now then, everybody now just getting their places now then at the moment. As we will be now 15 cars are in this race now then. Ryan Hunter-Reay now the new race leader with James Hinchcliffe second, Pietro Fittipaldi third, Simon Pagenaud in fourth position, as it looks like RE Central has gone a little bit backwards again. It should hopefully fast forward itself very soon. Felix Rosenquist in fifth, and then it is Marco Andretti in sixth, Robert Wickens in seventh, Fernando Alonso in eighth, Max Chilton in ninth, and then it is Gary Chavez in 10th, JR Hildebrand in 11th, Juan Pablo Montoya 12th, Takuma Sato 13th, Tony Kanaan 14th, and in 15th place is Graham Rahal, of course, a lap down from these guys after the mechanical problems that happened to him earlier on in the race. So we now try and see if we can get hold of Ryan Hunter-Reay. He was still leading the way at the moment as we wait for RE Central to try and fast forward itself if it can, because it is quite a bit behind now at this stage. So now they just come as Hunter-Reay comes out of that banking. Now they're heading down the straight before approaching the next banking very soon on the racetrack. And there you go, RE Central has now decided to fast forward on itself. So now around the second banking, Hunter-Reay now then with quite a comfortable lead out in front as he looks to try and get his and E-Power's first ever IFMC IndyCar win, as now they come down the straight now then. And Hunter-Reay has started lap number 137 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway. So we now have specifically, trying to think off the top of my head, we now have specifically 74. Is it 74? No, it's not. It's 64 laps remaining then for Ryan Hunter-Reay. 64 laps remaining for him as he now just comes up now then towards the second banking and just try and get the car to the end of the race as he now just comes down this straight now then, heading down the straight before approaching the first banking very soon. And now towards the first banking now then we will go on the track now then, as Fittipaldi now they're still trying to gain on to Hinchcliffe. What's the gap between the pair of them at this time? So they start their lap 138 now. Up towards the second banking we will go. We're 3 minutes away from the 3 o'clock mark for anybody wondering, around the banking, and the gap being 0.8 seconds. It's also 0.8 coincidentally between himself and Simon Pagenaud behind him at the moment, so a very odd coincidence there, you have to say. Coming down the straight we go, as now we will approach these section of corners now there on the racetrack, and now up towards the next few turns on the racetrack. So now they just go around the corners now. Then here is Ryan Hunter-Reay, and so now coming around these section of corners around the banking now. Then we will go on the racetrack, and so now they will just come down this straight now. Then heading down towards the next banking, we will soon go on the track, and so now up towards the next banking now then. And so now around the corner now then, heading in towards the straight, down towards the straight I should say. And so now heading down the straight we go now then into the corner. So now we will approach these next section in towards the next banking. Ryan Hunter-Reay now on lap 140 of 200 now then, so 61 laps remaining in this race. 61 laps remaining for race leader Ryan Hunter-Reay. As he tries to come up to some traffic now then in the form of Tony Kanaan. That's in front, a few cars in front of him at the moment. As meantime now then, as you can see, still not really much battling going on in this battle for second. Everybody just kind of just calming down a little bit at this stage of the race. Everybody just settling down then into a little bit of a rhythm now then. There's James Hinchcliffe just going around the second banking himself, the Martini Energia driver, looking at a juicy 45 points, which could bounce James back in contention for the Drivers' Championship as he now heads down the straight now then. And now up towards the next banking we will soon go. And so now up towards the next banking we go. So now, as you can see, James Hinchcliffe looking quite lonely himself. He's still quite a long way behind Ryan Hunter-Reay. Ryan Hunter-Reay's just ran off into the distance and looking good for his first ever IFMC IndyCar win at this stage. As Fittipaldi's still not close enough to the back of James Hinchcliffe as he tries to fight with the Canadian for second place, the mayor of Hinchtown. Around this banking we go, as he's got a bit of a gap now between himself and Simon Pagenaud. Pagenaud may not want to worry soon about Felix Rosenqvist, who's starting to gain onto him for fourth place, because he's not that far behind, is he? Now heading down the straight now then, the gap between Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi now then, as they will approach the first banking on the track, is now, as we've now reached the 3 o'clock mark for anybody wondering, through the first banking, 0.7 seconds, so it is under a second between second and third at the moment. Heading down the straight now then we go, as Fittipaldi will try and get close to the back of Hinchcliffe now then. And in fact, that is a slow car in front. Oh, you've got to be joking. Ryan Hunter-Reay's got a problem. The race leader is out of the race. That's another race leader who's just decided, I'm not going to win today. Ryan Hunter-Reay, who was looking good to get ePower's first ever win, is out with suspension failure. Unbelievable scenes. Ryan Hunter-Reay is out of the race, and we're down to 14 runners. James Hinchcliffe now leads the race of Martini Energia, and we could have an almighty scrap for the lead now, because he's got Pietro Fittipaldi in the Macamo car right behind him at this stage. So another leader is out of the race, and it's Ryan Hunter-Reay. Unbelievable stuff. And what a shame, just like with Eldorado team boss Robert Ionescu, Oliver Glazebrook's heart might have been ripped open, and again the what do you call it, the drought now then of ePower still yet to get both their cars to the checkered flag is still continuing, as Alonso is the only ePower car left down in 7th behind Robert Wickens. Meantime, we've got a fight for 4th looking like it's starting to brew between Marco Andretti and Felix Rosenqvist as they make their way around this banking now. They're on the track, as I've gone the wrong way for some odd reason. But now Pietro Fittipaldi knows that is now the race leader he is fighting with. He would have been told that Hunter-Reay is out, Hinchcliffe is leading. You are now close up behind him. You've got a chance for the victory here at Chicagoland. So now around the banking we go. Fittipaldi now, they're trying to get hold of James Hinchcliffe in order to try and get his first ever IFMC IndyCar win, and the team's first, I think, since, if I'm correct, since Pocono last season with Takuma Sato, who is now obviously a Fantasia Racing driver. Now up towards the second banking now, they will go on the track. Fittipaldi will try and get hold of James Hinchcliffe in front of him at this stage. As now we go down the straight now, they're on the track. As Fittipaldi now right in the slipstream of Hinchcliffe. He's trying to get up to the back of him as best as possible. And, well, we're going to have an almighty scrap for the lead here at this stage. As we're on lap 145 of 200 then. 46 laps to go then here at Chicagoland Speedway. And what an exciting race we've got after Power and Hunter-Reay have retired from the race. Now heading down the straight, Fittipaldi right in the slipstream now then of James Hinchcliffe, as they will now come up towards the second banking now then. Fittipaldi with everything he has to try and get hold of him, as now Andretti down the inside of Rosenqvist behind them. Andretti is up to 4th, he's got the place up into 4th place. Goes Marco Andretti in the Adrenaline Motorsport car. Alonso not close enough to get Andretti's teammate Wickens at the moment. He's starting to fall back a bit, as Andretti having to go defensive against Rosenqvist trying to go back at him. Andretti's got some momentum. He's now trying to close up onto Pagenaud now for 3rd place. As meantime, Fittipaldi still trying to get hold of Hinchcliffe for the lead of the race as they make their way around the first banking now then on the racetrack. Heading down towards this long straight now then. They will go. Now heading down this straight we go. Fittipaldi still not in the slipstream yet of the mayor of Hinchtown, trying everything in his powers. Meantime, back on the inside goes Rosenqvist as he looks to retake 4th place from Marco Andretti. Down the inside he goes. Has he retaken 4th? And yes, he has. Back up to 4th place goes Felix Rosenqvist. He gets back in front of Marco Andretti now then. Meantime, Fittipaldi still not close enough yet. Hinchcliffe still got a bit of a gap in front of Pietro at this stage of the race. Pietro trying everything in his power to try and grab hold of the lead from James Hinchcliffe up towards the first banking now then. We will go on the racetrack as now around the corner now then we go. On the racetrack now, heading down this back straight now then before approaching the next corner on the racetrack. Around the next banking, Fittipaldi still not close enough at this stage as Rosenqvist has now got a gap in front of Andretti, so he holds on to fourth as he tries to get onto the back of Simon Pagenaud for third place now then in this race as they both make their way around the banking themselves. Meantime, back to the battle for what is the lead of the race between Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi. Around these banked corners we go now then. Fittipaldi now then doing everything in his power to get hold of Hinchcliffe in front, but just not able to grab hold of him at the moment. Around the first banking now then we go. As Fittipaldi can see the victory right in front of him, but he just can't seem to get Hinchcliffe at the moment. If Hinchcliffe can just hold on, he will go good for his second ever victory in IFMC IndyCar, and the second man this season to get 2 wins in Season 4-5. As now, obviously the first one being Sebastian Bourdais, who retired earlier thanks to a crash with Scott Dixon. That incident is under investigation along with the Target Andy Graham incident from earlier on in the race. Now heading down the straight we go now, and Fittipaldi still not close enough to get hold of Hinchcliffe at the moment as they go down the straight towards the first banking now then. We will go on the track around this banking now then we go. As Fittipaldi now doing everything in his power to get hold of Hinchcliffe at the moment. As they'll now head down the straight now then. As Fittipaldi now then still not close enough at this stage, although it does look a little bit closer than what he was last time. Will he be able to use this momentum to try and get him onto the pit straight? It's Martini versus Macamo for the lead of the race. Around this banking we go. Fittipaldi looks like he's got momentum. Will he be able to get Hinchcliffe this time by? He's in the slipstream of the Canadian now then. He's going to look to the outside. Will Fittipaldi get the lead of Hinchcliffe now then down towards the first banking? Side by side go the pair of them. Will Fittipaldi get the lead? They go side by side through the first banking. Hinchcliffe trying to stay on the inside. Side by side go Fittipaldi and Hinchcliffe now then as they go side by side with each other. Heading down the straight now then towards the second banking. Will Fittipaldi try and grab the lead? Hinchcliffe just able to have the edge of the moment. Fittipaldi are going to go try and go back into Hinchcliffe's slipstream now then. Pagenaud doesn't take full advantage of their battling at this stage, and that was so close there for Fittipaldi to try and grab the lead. Hinchcliffe might have a bit of a breather, but we'll wait and see as they come around this second banking now then. Will Fittipaldi have enough straight line speed to get over Hinchcliffe down into the first banking? And while he doesn't look like he's close enough, Hinchcliffe has created a bit of a buffer on this lap. As Hinchcliffe now then still leading the way at this stage. Around the first bank and he goes. Fittipaldi still trying to get hold of Hinchcliffe in front. As now they will go down this straight. Oh, what a super closing few laps we've got now. They're on lap 151 of lap 151 of 200 now then in this race. 50 laps to go here at the Chicago Speedway now then. As now round this banking again, will Fittipaldi try and get momentum on Hinchcliffe down the pit straight to them, fighting for the lead again. Heading down the straight we go. Fittipaldi might get the slipstream, we'll have to wait and see, as it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to get him into the first banking again, this time by. And up towards the first banking now then. We will go around this banking we go as Rosenqvist is in. Has he got a problem? Rosenqvist, he's in. He's got an electrical problem. What a shame for Rosenqvist. He could have had the pace for a podium here today. He was looking very good battling with Pagenaud, but that's all gone down the toilet now. Rosenqvist is in to repair an electrical problem. That will undoubtedly put him down to around about 14th place in the race. Or sorry, 13th now, because of course Ray Hall is a lap down in this race. Fittipaldi now then back to the leaders, just going around this second banking. We will go on the track. Fittipaldi doesn't look close enough again down this straight. As Fittipaldi now is still trying to see a weak point in James Hinchcliffe's driving. Now into the first banking. There is Rosenqvist. He'll be slow to come out, so these two will have to go around the Swede around this first banking. Now they're on the track. Around we go now then. Hinchcliffe goes the long way. So does Fittipaldi in the end. Possibly trying to get Rosenqvist to the slipstream to try and get himself closer to Hinchcliffe. And now he's got some momentum because he's now getting closer now to the slipstream of James Hinchcliffe. Yet again as these two will fight it out for the lead here at Chicagoland Speedway. Round the second banking we go. Will Fittipaldi get some momentum on James Hinchcliffe as they come down the pit straight now then? Down towards the pit straight we go. Will Fittipaldi try and get close enough to Hinchcliffe? Does he have enough momentum? I don't think he does. Hinchcliffe still able to stay in front of this stage. Up towards the first banking now then. We go on the track. Round this first banking we go, and look at this, Fittipaldi's now getting closer and closer now into the back of Hinchcliffe. Now he might get a run down his back straight. Fittipaldi on the inside, can he get the lead from James Hinchcliffe now? They're side by side, go the pair of them, and yes he can. Pietro Fittipaldi leads at Chicagoland Speedway. The Macaro has taken the lead of the race, gets in front of the Martini of Hinchcliffe. And Fittipaldi leads by Hinchcliffe. Will try and get him back if he can. He finds a gap on the inside. Fittipaldi shuts that gap now then. Hinchcliffe trying to get in the slipstream down the pit straight now then. Will Hinchcliffe try and retake the lead from Pietro Fittipaldi as they go side by side in towards the first banking? And will Fittipaldi hold on? Yes, he will. He holds on to the lead for the moment. Passionado doesn't take advantage of Hinchcliffe having to back out through into that corner. Around this corner we go now. They're on the track as they make their way down this straight, heading into the next banking. It looks like Hinchcliffe too far back, but he's in the slipstream again. Could try and get a run down the pit straight after this second banking now then. In fact, he found a gap on the inside. In fact, Hinchcliffe down the inside of Pietro Fittipaldi, and he grabs the lead. Hinchcliffe back in the lead of the race here at Chicagoland Speedway. But Fittipaldi again, not going to give up. He's in the slipstream again of Hinchcliffe. Down the inside he goes. Side by side go the pair of them now then. The two Honda Power cars going side by side with each other. And it looks like Fittipaldi's got the advantage. And he gets the lead again. But Hinchcliffe trying to get back on the inside. Fittipaldi shuts the door through the first banking as he tries to hold on to the lead at this stage of the race. Heading down this straight we go, as Hinchcliffe again got to look to the inside down this back straight, heading into the second banking on the track. And now heading down towards the second banking. Down the inside goes Hinchcliffe, and that is the lead again. James Hinchcliffe back in front of Pietro Fittipaldi. Pagano's just too far back to get hold of the top two at this stage. And now heading down this straight, Fittipaldi tries to have a look, tries to look to the outside again, trying to get within the slipstream then of James Hinchcliffe. Now then right in the slipstream we go, as he now looks to the inside now then. Will Fittipaldi retake the lead from James Hinchcliffe down the inside? And yes he does. Fittipaldi again in the lead of the race here at Chicagoland Speedway, as he now just comes out of the second banking again though. James Hinchcliffe will try and get the lead back of Pietro Fittipaldi now then as they go down this straight. As now they go side by side with each other yet again into the second banking, as Hinchcliffe got the lead back, and I think he has done. And yes, Hinchcliffe back in the lead here at Chicagoland. Will Fittipaldi try and get him back down the pit straight now then? And now back in the slipstream again then goes Pietro Fittipaldi. Right in the slipstream he goes. He's going to look to the outside then of James Hinchcliffe. Can he pull the move off on the Hinchcliffe around the outside down into the first banking now? Then had to back out of it because Hinchcliffe was shutting the door there, and as that now created a bit of a buffer now then for the mayor of Hinchtown as they just go around this first banking now they're on the track, and it has created a buffer that Hinchcliffe needs. So Hinchcliffe still leading the way at this stage of the race. Let's take a little bit of a breather because it's pretty much ran me out of breath at the moment. As Hinchcliffe will soon start lap 159 of 200 then, so we'll have 42 laps to go when he crosses the line now then, as he now heads down this straight. As now coming down the straight now then he goes before approaching the first banking on the track. And so now heading up towards the first banking, we will soon go on the track now then. Through we go now then. James Hinchcliffe now then leading the way as Fittipaldi has now dropped back a bit. Or we'll probably have to try again once he can get himself back into the momentum again. But he's now a little bit further back now to James Hinchcliffe after James shut the door on him there into the first banking a lap ago. And Fittipaldi will have to work hard to try and get back onto the power of him if he wants to win his first ever IFMC IndyCar race. And through the second banking now then he'll go, as he will head down this straight now then towards the first banking we will go. And Fittipaldi now then up towards this first banking we go. And so just going around this corner now then on the track. And he will now soon come down the straight as he tries to get up on James Hinchcliffe at this stage. As Rosenquist, if anybody wondering, after he had the electrical problem, he's now down in 13th place at the moment. Meantime, Alonso is now starting to get back on the prowl of Robert Wickens again for 5th place. So these two look like they could have a ding-dong again for 5th place again, as they will now come up towards the second banking very soon. Now then Alonso could try and get 5th place off Robert Wickens now then, trying to get as most points as he can now that Hunter Ray is out of the race from a possible win due to suspension failure. Heading down the straight now, then we go. Will Alonso try and get Robert Wickens down into the first banking? I think he's too far back this time around, but if he can carry the momentum, he could get him down the next back straight now. Then Alonso now then trying to get hold of Wickens if he can. Into the first banking we go. And so now just going around the first banking, heading down the straight. As Alonso now then with the momentum, he's going to look to the inside of Robert Wickens. Can he get the move done on Fernando Alonso now then on the track? As they will go side by side with each other now then on the track. Side by side to go. Will Alonso get the place? And yes, he will. Alonso up into 5th place, getting the move done on Robert Wickens. That's P5 for the Spaniard. As he now just goes around these section of corners as Alonso gets himself up to 5th, but Wickens trying to get back underneath him, trying to find that gap on the inside, but Alonso covers him off and holds on to the place now then. So Alonso holds on to 5th place now then as they go down the straight. Will Wickens try and get him back if he can? Looks a little bit too far back to challenge at this stage. And Wickens now then will possibly try and get him on the next back straight if he can, unless he can get him before the first banking. As now into the first banking we go. And now he tries to go on the outside now then of Fernando Alonso. Will Wickens get the place? Side by side go the pair of them now then coming out of the first banking. Wickens trying to get hold of him around the outside as we ride on board with Fernando Alonso. And he looks like he's just covered Wickens off and holds on to 5th place at this stage. And has he now created a buffer between himself and Robert Wickens? And it looks like he has. So Alonso now then right up into 5th place. And there's a little bit of a task now, but his next target is quite a long way away. That will be Marco Andretti, who is Robert Wickens' teammate. Wickens has obviously now dropped back into the clutches now then of, who is that? That is Graham Rahal. In fact, he's just unlapped himself, so he's gone back a bit. Is now Chilton will try and take advantage and try and get hold of him for 6th place at the moment. And they now come up now then towards the first banking now then on the track, as now Chilton tries to go alongside of Wickens if he can. He's in the slipstream now then of the Canadian. Will he get him down this back straight? Chilton all over him now then at this stage. He's going to look to the inside. Will Chilton pull this move off on Robert Wickens now then as they go side by side of each other now then in towards the second banking? Has Chilton got the place now then off Robert Wickens as they will go side by side of each other now then up towards the second banking we go? And yes, he has. Chilton up into 6th place, getting the move done on Robert Wickens. So P6 then for Chilton as a result. As Wickens now then still tries to get all of Chilton. It looks like RE Central has gone behind again, so it might fast forward very soon. As now Wickens again on the inside of Max Chilton as they go side by side of each other now then up towards the first banking. Will Robert Wickens pull the move off as they will go side by side of each other now then up towards the first banking we will go. Will Wickens retake the place? And yes, he does. Back up to 6th place goes Robert Wickens in the adrenaline car. And back up to 6th place he will go indeed. Meantime, the top two still keeping themselves quite honest at the moment, as RE Central has now fast forwarded itself again. I do apologise for the little issues RE Central is having today, but let's see the gap then between Fittipaldi and Hinchcliffe. It's like Fittipaldi's getting a little bit back onto Fittipaldi at the moment. Fittipaldi's getting a little bit back onto Hinchcliffe at this stage, as we're now on lap 165 at 200 now in this race. So 36 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway. As Fittipaldi just goes out of the first banking now, they're heading down towards the second banking. He will approach very soon as he tries to get back on the prowl of James Hinchcliffe in this race. Around the second banking we will go on the track now then. Around the corner then he goes, as let's see the gap then this time by as they'll make their way down the pit straight. And the gap between Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi is now, let's have a look, as they now have 35 laps remaining here at Chicagoland and into the first banking, and the gap being, let's have a look, it is 0.6 seconds. So that's how it looks like at the moment between the top two. Fittipaldi trying to close himself back in with an opportunity to try and take his first ever IFMC IndyCar win, whereas Hinchcliffe is looking to become the second man this season to get 2 wins. As now we will approach the second banking. Around the banking we go, as now Fittipaldi will try and get himself back in the slipstream if he can, just coming out of that second banking, as they will now head down the straight. And will Fittipaldi try and get the move done now then on James Hinchcliffe, as they now just go around the first banking, and the gap being this time around still 0.6, But it does look like Fittipaldi's just carrying a little bit more pace in the car now than what Hinchcliffe is. In front is Fittipaldi, looks to try and get back on the prowl of Mr. Hinchcliffe now then, as he's tugged right into the slipstream at the moment now then. As now just going around the banking we will go. And so now around the banking we go on the racetrack. As let's see the gap this time by between the pair of them now then. And the gap between Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi, it was 0.6 last time by. Let's see if Fittipaldi has gained onto it a little bit more. Around the first banking we go. And let's see. And no, it's still 0.6 at this stage. Fittipaldi's going to have to dig deep and work hard if he wants to get out of Hinchcliffe by the end of the race. As he just comes out of the turn now, then just trying to get hold of the race leader in front of him at the moment. Now into the second banking we go. And Fittipaldi still giving Hinchcliffe a cause for concern. Round the banking we go. As they will come down the straight now, then heading towards the first banking very soon on the track. And down the straight now, then heading into the first banking. Around the first banking now, then we will go. And so coming around the section of corners now, then we soon go. As they will head down the straight. And now then, as you can see, you can just tell from that camera there, look, just how close Fittipaldi is now into the back of James Hinchcliffe, as we are 9 minutes away from the 3:30 mark, for anybody wondering. As now around this banking we go, and as you can see, trying to get up close to the back of Hinchcliffe's slipstream if he can, and carrying a little bit of momentum, it must be said. And Fittipaldi now then getting close again to the back of James Hinchcliffe, the gap between them being through the first banking, I bet it says 0.6 still, and no, in fact it's 0.5, so Fittipaldi is actually taking a tenth out of Hinchcliffe that time by, as he started to pick up the pace again, as he looks to try and get his first ever IFMC IndyCar win, and the McCarthy's first win since Pocono last season with Takuma Sato, as it seems to have gone backwards again, RE Central, so I do apologise for the issues that it is causing today. And hopefully it shouldn't be like that for the next race at Atlanta Speedway. So now we come down this straight now then. Fittipaldi now then just trying everything in his power to get hold of James Hinchcliffe in front. And now through this first banking. And you can tell Fittipaldi doing a good job at this stage. Still trying to put some pressure on James Hinchcliffe in front. Going around the first banking now, then he will go. Fittipaldi now then still doing everything in his power to get hold of Hinchcliffe in front. Up towards the second banking now then. And let's see if he's actually got some momentum, in fact, because look how close he's getting now to the back of James Hinchcliffe again, as these two continue to scrap it out for the lead of the race. Coming down the straight now then. And now heading down the straight now then, as they will come up towards the first banking on the track. And through this first banking we go, as it looks like RE Central has again fast forwarded itself, as Fittipaldi's got a lot of momentum now then on James Hinchcliffe. He's right in the slipstream now then, and could possibly get him down the pit straight again, so the battle for the lead has resumed between Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi now then. Fittipaldi's got a good run on Hinchcliffe coming around the second banking now then. Fittipaldi looks to the outside. Will he try and pull the move off? He doesn't think about it. He's going to actually remain in the slipstream of Hinchcliffe, probably get him onto the first banking. He's going to look to the inside. Will Fittipaldi get the lead from Hinchcliffe this time by again? Hinchcliffe covers him off and holds on to the lead of the race. Hinchcliffe having to do some defending at the moment now then, round the first banking. And Fittipaldi again with some good momentum. Can he get him onto the next back straight now? Then we go. Fittipaldi now then right in the slipstream of James Hinchcliffe. He's going to look to the inside. Will Fittipaldi grab the lead again from James Hinchcliffe up towards the second banking? We will go on the track. Is it going to be the lead for Fittipaldi again? And yes, it is. Fittipaldi leads the race, but Hinchcliffe back on the inside, trying to do the switchback on Pietri if he can. He's found a gap on the inside. Side by side again go Hinchcliffe and Fittipaldi, as they will go side by side down the straight towards the first banking now then. Both of them not giving moving up on each other now then. Side by side they go. Up towards the first banking. It's Fittipaldi versus Hinchcliffe. It's Martini versus Macamo. Up towards the first banking. Now then we go. Side by side. Go the pair of them. Hinchcliffe back in the lead of the race. Fittipaldi now then. Will he try and get him onto his back straight yet again in this race? As still right in the slipstream now then of James Hinchcliffe, as he's not able to get him into the second banking, but could try and get some momentum around this banking to try and get him onto the pit straight. Round the banking we go. Fittipaldi trying to get up close to the back of him as best as possible now then, and will Fittipaldi try and get him onto this start finish straight? And it doesn't look like he's close enough that time by, but he's got the slipstream and could try and get him. Maybe he could even get him just before the first banking. In fact, going into the first banking we go, not close enough. He's going to look to the outside. Can Fittipaldi pull the move off around the outside? Coming up towards coming up now then towards the back straight, as Hinchcliffe will try and shut the door on him again, and stays in front at this stage of the race. As now up towards the second banking we go. As Fittipaldi again will try everything in his power to get the lead off Hinchcliffe in this race, as the top two have obviously broke away from Simon Pagenaud at the moment. Heading down the straight now then we go. And so now we come down the straight, heading in towards the first banking very soon on the track. And will Fittipaldi get the lead again? He's going to look to the inside into the first banking. Is it going to be the lead for Fittipaldi yet again? And yes, it is. Pietro back in the lead of the race. Fittipaldi once again leading the race here at Chicagoland Speedway, but Hinchcliffe back on the pro of him already as he looks to the inside of Pietro. Will he try and pull the move off, as it will go down towards the second banking on the track? Side by side they go. Pietro trying to hold on if he can, as they will go side by side of each other. Fittipaldi trying to hang it around the outside. Hinchcliffe back in the lead of the race, but Fittipaldi now then heading down the pit straight, trying to get hold of Hinchcliffe if he can. Now then he's going to try and look to the inside. He's in the slipstream again of the Mayor of Hinchtown, looking to the outside into the first banking. Will he try and pull it off? I don't think he will. Hinchcliffe will just be able to hold on now then as they make their way around the first banking on the track. And so now around the first banking we go. And now, as you can see, Fittipaldi now then just trying to get the move done on Hinchcliffe yet again. He's in the slipstream. Down his back straight. He's going to look to the inside. Is Fittipaldi going to get the lead again here at Chicagoland Speedway? And yes, he is. Fittipaldi once again leading the way here in Chicago. There's a gap on the inside. Fittipaldi closes it. And look at the momentum he has. He's prevented Hinchcliffe because he's got a problem. Hinchcliffe has got suspension failure. Hinchcliffe is out of the race. Fittipaldi has a big lead now. And Hinchcliffe from second place, just second place for now, is going to be out of the race with suspension failure. And Hinchcliffe's race is done. And, well, that might leave a big implication for him in the Drivers' Championship. But James Hinchcliffe is out of the race, and we're down to 13 runners here at Chicagoland Speedway. A chance for a podium down the toilet for him, and maybe even the victory as well. That's another one that's possibly out of the race from a potential win. James Hinchcliffe out of the race, and we're down to 13 runners here at Chicagoland Speedway. It's game over for him as far as he's concerned. Now Fittipaldi has a huge lead in front of Simon Pagenaud as he looks to try and get his first ever IFMC IndyCar victory, as he now starts lap 179 of 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway. So we now have 22 laps to go for the grandson of two-time Formula 1 World Champion Emerson Fittipaldi, and we're 3 minutes away from the half-past-3 mark for anybody wondering. Heading down the straight, Fittipaldi now then with quite a lead in front. It now puts Marco Andretti in the Adrenaline Motorsport car onto the podium, so he could look good to get Adrenaline's second ever podium in IFMC IndyCar, as they now come around this banking now then, as he's now coming up now right onto the back of Simon Pagenaud in this race. Alonso looking very quiet now in fourth place, just possibly just trying to get the car home to the finish, as now coming down the straight now then we go. Marco Andretti could try and get the slipstream on Simon Pagenaud as they make their way up towards the first banking now then on the racetrack. And now coming around the first banking, Andretti has got some momentum, I think, to try and get hold of Pagenaud in front, as they will come down the straight, down this back straight now then we will go. And Andretti now then right in the slipstream we go, as they will soon approach the second banking on the track. And so around this second banking we will go on the racetrack now then. And as you can see, Andretti still trying to get hold of to the back of Simon Pagenaud for second place as they will come down the straight. And so now, coming up now then towards the first banking. And Andretti now then still trying to get onto the back of Pagenaud, see if we can try and get second from him by the end of the race. As he just come out of the second banking now they're on the track. Andretti still trying to get all the Pagenaud in front of him at the moment, as he's half a second behind him at the moment on that lap, as he now goes around this next banking as we are about to start lap 182 of 200 then here at Chicagoland Speedway. We will have 19 laps to go once Fittipaldi crosses the line, heading down the pit straight now. Then we go. Andretti still trying to get second from Pagenaud if he can, as now they just come around these section of corners now. They're on the track up towards the first banking we go. And Marco Andretti now then just going around the banking, heading down towards this back straight now then, still trying to get all the Pagenaud in front of him at the moment. And now up towards the second banking we go on the racetrack now then, as they just come around at these section of corners. So now they will come down towards the start finish straight now they're on the racetrack. As now heading down the straight we go before approaching the first banking on the racetrack. And as you can see, Andretti's still getting closer to the back of Pagenaud now, then the gap being through the first banking still half a second. Andretti's still trying to get some momentum if he can on Pagenaud, and he's getting closer and closer to the back of the Frenchman now then, as he will come down the straight now then to try and get hold of Pagenaud for second if he can, trying to get within the slipstream of the Frenchman, who looks to try and cut down on J.R. Hildebrand's lead. Might even lead it yet, we're not 100% sure, we'll have to wait and see by the end of the race of course, and by the end of the day I should say. Around this banking we will go as they will come down the straight now then. Andretti still trying to pile the pressure on Pagenaud in front around this left-hander now then. Can Andretti try and get hold of Pagenaud for second place as they will come up now then towards the first banking on the racetrack. And he seems to be a little bit too far back to challenge at the moment now then. Around the banking we go, as now they come down this straight now they're on the track. And Andretti still trying to cling on to the slipstream of Pagenaud at the moment, and looking to get second place by the end of the race. Around this second banking we go, and really pushing hard now then. Andretti trying to get a run on Pagenaud if he can now then. And is he too far back, or can he actually go for a lunge down into the first banking? I think he's got his slipstream. Whether he's close enough, I'm not 100% sure at the moment. But he is getting closer and closer now to the back of the Frenchman. Around the first banking we go. Andretti with quite a lot of momentum could actually try and get hold of Pagenaud within this lap or the next lap. We'll have to wait and see. Coming out of the first banking now then. Looks like he's a little bit too far back still to try and get hold of Pagenaud in this race now then. Up towards the second banking we will go on the racetrack, as now Andretti will try and get hold of Pagenaud for second place in this race. As now they will come down the straight. And so now heading down the straight then we go before approaching the first banking. He's trying to get within the slipstream now then of trying to get hold of Simon Pagenaud. He's getting closer and closer now then to the back of the Frenchman, and now we've got an almighty scrap for second place developing between Simon Pagenaud in the Silicon Valley race car. Marco Andretti is Andretti now on the outside of Pagenaud. Can he grab second place from the Frenchman? Side by side to go now into the second banking, and Andretti has the edge, and up into second place goes Marco Andretti in the Adrenaline racing car. So the Adrenaline Motorsport car, that is P2 for Marco Andretti. Can Pagenaud try and get him back if he can as they go around the second banking? I think Pagenaud might be a bit too far back. I think Andretti has already created a buffer between himself and Simon Pagenaud to get up to second. Pagenaud is in the slipstream, but whether it's enough to get up to him, I'm not 100% sure. But I think Andretti has created a buffer and is hold on to second place. A great pass then from the American, as he's looking good to get Adrenaline Motorsport's second ever podium in IFMC IndyCar and their best ever finish of second place. As now they come down the back straight now, then Pagenaud still trying to cling on at this stage. as Fittipaldi's got a 3.4 second cushion. He doesn't need to worry too much about Andretti, as he will cross the line pretty soon to start lap 188 of 200. So we'll have 13 laps to go then for Pietro Fittipaldi once he crosses the line. 13 laps to go for the Brazilian now then, as he makes his way up towards the first banking on the track. So around that first banking he goes. Pagenaud still too far back, and Andretti's got problems. Oh, what a shame. A second podium has gone down the toilet. Pagenaud gets that second place back. Andretti has got suspension problems. That's another suspension failure around here, and after what could have been a podium finish, Marco Andretti is out of the race, and we're down to 12 runners. Alonso now finds himself up onto the podium for E-Power. Through goes the Spaniard. Alonso onto the podium. He's got Chilton also closing him down as well in this race. And, well, game over for Marco Andretti. What could have been again for the American as he crawls his adrenaline car to a halt, as his suspension has given way after what looked to be a good second place. As out goes Tony Kanaan. Kanaan is now out of the race. What has happened to him? Kanaan is out. Whereabouts is he? And there he is. And it's a punch-in for him. So 2 retirements in the space of a few meters. Tony Kanaan is now out of the race and will be down to 11 runners. Only 11 runners left here at Chicagoland Speedway. This has just been retirement galore here at this oval track. Kanaan out, and now Marco Andretti is also out of the race himself as he pulls off the track with suspension failure. Game over for the American. He's trying to get to a marshal's post if he can, just trying to crawl the adrenaline car towards a marshal's post. And, well, it does give Pagenaud back second place. He lost a few laps ago from Andretti, but that all came to nothing for the American. A second podium finish for Adrenaline Motorsport. We'll have to wait, it seems. So it's game over then for Marco Andretti now then in this race. Just trying to get to the marshal's post so he can pull over safely. And game over then for him as far as he is concerned. The most of the pack trying to just go around him at the moment. And, well, the suspension, one of his suspensions has clearly collapsed at this point. And, well, that's that really. And just trying to stop the car if he can. As through goes Hildebrand. He's now up in 6th place at the moment, so possibly reducing the pain of his championship lead being cut down by teammate Simon Pagenaud, who's now up into 2nd place. And, well, it's still crawling at the moment. Everybody's still trying to claw around to get hold of, to go around him at the moment. And, well, this could be pretty dangerous if people are not careful. There goes Pietro Fittipaldi, I think that is, who's just going through again. As Andretti's still crawling at the moment. Everybody just having to feed around a gap at the moment. As Andretti still crawling at the moment, still going at this stage. As the suspension failure kicks in at the moment, as Fittipaldi is now on lap 191 of 200 now. Then as Alonso got held up a tad bit, and it's now giving Chilton an opportunity to get by on Fernando Alonso. Can he get 3rd place and try and get SIC's first ever podium? No, not quite. Has to hang back for the moment at this race, as Wickens is currently in 5th, trying to close up on this scrap as well. Alonso has got traffic between him now, created a buffer between himself and Max Chilton at this stage, as Marco has finally pulled off and he's now out of the race. We're down to 11 runners. And game over for him as far as he is concerned now. Then here's Pietro Fittipaldi starting lap 192 of the race. 9 laps to go for race leader Pietro Fittipaldi to take his first ever IFMC IndyCar win. He came close, of course, to confirmation that Marco is out of the race. He came close to winning at ISM Raceway, but the red flag clearly cost him, and it gave the victory to JR Hildebrand as a result. And Pietro Fittipaldi now looking good for his first ever victory, if he can just keep it up with 9 laps remaining here at Chicagoland Speedway. And there were the remaining 9 laps of the race now then. As in the meantime, Chilton just putting a lap, or is that Rahal trying to unlap himself, or it's allowed Alonso to create a bit of a buffer now in between himself and Chilton, as he looks to try and collect another podium this season. As he looks to try and also gain onto JR Hildebrand in the Drivers' Championship, as Alonso is currently 4th in that championship, let's not forget, in the championship as well, as Chilton gets in front of Rahal there. Wickens could have taken advantage, but didn't, as he's currently in 5th place. He's looking at his best ever result if he can just keep this up at the moment in 5th place. So Fittipaldi now then just going around the first banking, is it? Or is this the second banking? It's the first banking on the track. Fittipaldi looking very strong now in the lead of the race. No one is around him. He can just try and just cruise to the finish now. and he will collect the victory here at Chicagoland Speedway. Around the second banking we go on the track now then, and so now we come down the straight, heading in towards the start-finish straight now then, as Fittipaldi now starts lap 194 now then. 7 laps to go for the Brazilian as he makes his way up towards the first banking on the track. As meantime, any more battles going on through the field. Hildebrand, on seen by the cameras, has lost the place to Gabby Chavez. Up to 6th place goes Chavez, so Hildebrand has lost the place and is now down to 7th, as Montoya will try and chase him down for that place as well. As Takuma Sato looking lonely in 9th place at the moment. And so that's pretty much that really. As there's Alonso currently 3rd, a long way behind Pagenaud. I think he's just going to cruise now and get hold of that 3rd place, picking up 40 points towards his Drivers' Championship, of course. And, well, that will help him out in terms of his championship aspirations this season, it must be said, despite the fact that the Spaniard has not picked up a victory, so kind of doing a similar thing to what Will Power did last season at this stage of the season. As Wickens now then trying to get up to Chilton, but remember there is a car in, between them, which is the back marker of Graham Rahal, so that will be that really. As now we look at Fittipaldi again with still quite a comfortable lead in front of him at this stage of the race. Pagenaud and Allen looking very good for second and putting the gap down between himself and Jared Hildebrand. Whether he'll lead the championship, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll wait and see on that as he just makes his way around the banking now there on the track. As he will just come down the straight towards the first corner, as Fittipaldi now then has 5 laps to go now, and he's just crossed the line to start lap 196 to 200. 5 laps to go for Pietro Fittipaldi here at Chicagoland Speedway as he just makes his way around the first banking on the track, and that's that really. Sir Chilton now then still trying to close up to Alonso if he can, but he's only got 5 laps in which to try and chase the Spaniard, so he really needs to dig deep if he wants to try and get SIC's first ever IFMC IndyCar podium. But he'll need to push hard as RE Central looks like it went backwards again. I do apologise, hopefully it will fast forward in a little bit as Chilton just makes his way around the first banking now then on the track, as now he just goes down the straights, doing everything in his power to try and get hold of Fernando Alonso at this stage of the race now then. Alonso doing a good job to fend off at the moment, as he's still currently in 3rd place, still trying to stay in front of Max Chilton if he can at the moment. Meantime, we look at the race leader, Pietro Fittipaldi now, then he's just going around the second banking now there on the track, as RV Central has fast forwarded itself, thankfully. Heading down the straight we go, as now Fittipaldi starts lap 198 of 200, so 3 laps to go for the Brazilian, as he just goes down this straight now, they're heading in towards the first banking on the racetrack now then, and what a race it's been for him as far as he's concerned. Chilton still trying everything in his power to get hold of Fernando Alonso, but so far nothing appears to be working, so far it's looking good for Alonso to get another podium finish for E-Power this season. That will definitely help out in terms of his championship, and of course E-Power's team's championship as well, with both as well, but I think they will still lose points to SV Racing as a result. Silicon Valley Racing will look like they're going to increase their lead in the team's championship as a result. As meantime, here is Pietro Fittipaldi, who's now just started his penultimate lap of the race, lap 199 here at Chicagoland Speedway. As meantime now then, Rahal unlapping himself, that's definitely helping out Fernando Alonso, and Alonso now looking quite comfortable now for 3rd place now that Rahal has just unlapped himself at the expense of Max Chilton, who's looking good for 4th now, and he's not going to be able to gain time. Pagenaud is just too far in front, so 3rd place will have to do then for the Spaniard, which I think he will be satisfied with, but still craving for the first ever victory for Power here in IFMC IndyCar. But meantime, here is Pietro Fittipaldi, who's just crossed the line now then. Fittipaldi has started his final lap here at Chicagoland Speedway. What a race it's been for him. He started in last place. Let me just exaggerate that. Last place. He started in last, made his way up through the field, already up into the top 10 by the first few laps, took advantage of people crashing and just stayed out of trouble. And he's just been a class act this season, and that's just going to be a record, starting from last and winning the race. He can just keep this up. He is looking good to take his first ever IFMC IndyCar victory as he rounds the final banking now then, and coming down the pit straight, and after an amazing race, a very chaotic one, it is going to be Pietro Fittipaldi who wins at the Chicagoland Speedway here in Chicago, Illinois, or Joviet, Illinois I should say. Congratulations to him and the Makama Motorsport team, the Panasonic Makama Motorsport team. He takes his first ever IFMC IndyCar win, and he does it from last on the grid. What a comeback from Pietro Fittipaldi. What a way to win your first IndyCar race indeed. Simon Pagenaud crossed the line in second. Fernando Alonso crossed the line in third. That was Rosenquist in 10th. 4th for Max Chilton. 11th for Graham Rahal. 5th goes to Robert Wickens. 6th for Gabby Chavez. 7th for J.R. Hildebrand. 8th for Juan Pablo Montoya. And it's going to be 9th for Takuma Sato. In the end, Pietro Fittipaldi takes his first ever IFMC IndyCar win from last on the grid. What a comeback from the young Brazilian, and what a way to win your first race indeed. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the results of the 200 lap race here at Chicagoland Speedway. Pietro Fittipaldi won the race with Simon Pagenaud second, Fernando Alonso was third with Max Chilton fourth, Robert Wickens 5th, Gabby Chavez 6th, J.R. Hildebrand in 7th, with Juan Pablo Montoya 8th, Takuma Sato in 9th, Felix Rosenquist in 10th, with Graham Rahal 11th, Marco Andretti was classified in 12th, and Tony Kanaan was also classified in 13th position. So the retirements then of this race were as follows. They were James Hinchcliffe. We'll scroll down to the rest of them. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Will Power, Alexander Rossi, Helio Castroneves, Sebastian Bourdais, Scott Dixon, Ed Jones, and Joseph Newgarden all did not finish the race in the end there then. 13 classified finishes in the end, including the ones that did 90% of the race distance. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race then, who's going away with the bonus point. And it was Helio Castroneves with a 36.678 despite not finishing the race. EMR are going to pick up points here today, just a one solitary point, because he picks up the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. He was 1/10 clearer than pole sitter Will Power, who also retired in the race after a potential win was robbed from him. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it for a very chaotic race here at the Chicagoland Speedway. I hope you enjoyed it. What a race it has been. Probably the best race of the year. And what a comeback from Pietro Fittipaldi in the end, from starting in last to take his first ever IFMC IndyCar win. Who on earth saw that one coming? But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, next weekend for the final over race of the season. That will be, as it was last season, the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Atlanta, Georgia for round 9 of the championship. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I'm in JWF1, and I'll see you guys next weekend at the Atlanta Speedway in Atlanta, Florida. Until then, take care.